Not like I'm allowing audio to go first or anything, but hey, everybody, and welcome to 6 and 20 Metropolis, our new 6 and 20 weird sort of collaborative 3 shows thing going on. Let us know in chat if you can hear us. We should be good to go. I did all the checking beforehand, but I just want to make sure. Around the table, we've got some familiar faces. We've got some new faces. We've got a new game system we're playing in. We've got a whole bunch of things to just kind of talk about and just kind of let you go. We're gonna unload on you guys just a lot of things tonight. So to get started, why don't we go around the table and let's start with Valanda. Valanda, why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Valanda. Sorry, did you need much more?
Hi, Valanda.
Hi, Valanda.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Valanda. I decided I was going to be playing this game probably yesterday. So this is all going to be good.
Nice.
Anything else? I mean,
no, sure, we're good. Okay. Next up, why don't we go with Lauren?
Oh, hi. Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren. I'm That Salty Ginger on Twitter. I DM and play games around with many, many people you know. And tonight I am playing Roslyn Perceval. She's a former actor, now a photographer. And you will find out more about her as I do, like what she sounds like, which I still don't know. That's it.
Okay.
That's it.
Way
What do
better
you want? What do you want?
I don't know. I'm just asking.
Asking for.
All right. Okay. All right. So next up, why don't we go down to Alex?
Hey, what's going on? My name is Zippy Zippo. I'm Zippy_Zippo here on Twitch. I'm a variety streamer, and I troll around for tabletop RPG games. I'm going to be playing Henry Windsor, a medical student / hospice nurse. Ka-pa-chow. I don't know why I did that.
So before we get into this, guys, if I introduce you incorrectly, if you want to be called, like Lauren, you want to be called Salty Gender, or Alex Zippy Zippo, just let me know, guys, and I will make sure to correct that for the next time. We went through that little process previously on the last show, so just kind of let me know. And last but not least, over to Sam.
Hi, I'm Sam, also known as Harley's Armory. I'm playing a character named Charlie. She is blind and a politician's daughter.
Excellent. Well, welcome, guys. Thank you very much for joining us, becoming a part of the 6 and 20 family. Before we get started, let's talk a little bit about the game system that we're playing. It's called City of Mist. I'll link something in chat in just a minute as soon as after we get started. City of Mist is a sort of modern noir setting with it's based on it's a Powered by the Apocalypse system, so it's based on the Apocalypse World game system. There's some interesting modifications in the way that the moves work. And there are some nuances to things, the way that damage is handled. So we'll kind of get into all the details. Tonight is really going to be about just kind of an introduction to the characters and an introduction to the system. And as the weeks go on, we'll dig into the details and make it kind of, intense and heavy for, everybody at the table. As things progress. But tonight is just going to be sort of an introduction to the characters and an introduction to the system. So just kind of, welcome along with us and, have a good time. Let us know what you guys think in chat. First and foremost, I want to say thank you, Grimjack, for that resub. What do you mean? No, don't thank him. Did you have something to say? Do you have something to say to Greg?
I have nothing to say to Greg.
Are you sure? Okay. All right. So, and thanks for the follows, Anime Kianas, and yeah, that's it. Okay. A couple things also that we will typically do about to do as some last minute business before we get started. This is a collaborative affair between myself, Unmade Gaming, NotSoSpeedRuns in respects to hosting this show on 3 channels. We do 3 channels with 3 different sets of players working in 3 crews in a world that is essentially the same setting. Everything that these guys do tonight will affect what happens on NotSoSpeedRuns on Thursday and on Unmade Gaming on Wednesday. So their crews will have the same effect on this show as well. I will be the GM for those two shows, and we just kind of do this crazy thing for as long as, you know, we feel like we can kind of tolerate the chaos that it is. Our previous show we had 3 seasons of, which was Blaze in the Dark, and so this is an entirely new setting. It's an entirely new affair. Some of the players are new, some of the players are old, and we're going to have a great time. Without further ado, I think if there's no questions from the table, we'll get started. All right, let's get started then. The city in summertime. It's warm. There's interesting smells on the air. There are fantastic noises of nightlife. It's chaotic. It's crazy. It's gigantic. There are many districts. There's the downtown district. There's the suburbs. There's the blue collar district. You know, there's the old quarter. All of these places are distinct, but they make up the parts of the city as a whole. Some people call it Metropolis. Some people call it Gotham. Some people call it by many different names. But we'll always just call it the city, because that's really what it is it's just this gigantic place where people congregate together. But there's not something quite right about the city. It is different. Most people don't know. But on the streets and in the high-rise towers and on the boats at the docks and in the studios of Tinseltown and in the blue-collar neighborhood and in the suburbs, there are unusual folks running around. They have differences. They have abilities. They are legends. Some of them know what's going on. Some of them are just awakening to what they can do. This is one crew. They will come together. This is one story. And so with that, we're going to open up on a police scene just outside of the library in downtown. There's a huge commotion going on as there are police cars everywhere. You've got SWAT team, you've got emergency vehicles, you've got cop cars, you've got various police in uniform and plain clothes. And they are all surrounding the main branch of the city library. Standing outside of the police line, we see Roslyn. Roslyn, what do you look like? Describe yourself.
I knew you were coming at me first.
It's because the crap that you said about Greg. I gotta be, we're there with my boy.
Please. Roslyn is, you might not notice her at first. She tends to wear a lot of layers and like scarves and stuff to kind of cover herself up. She's got thick, kind of feathery black hair and big brown eyes with gold flecks in them. Maybe why you don't notice her is that she's constantly, when she's out, holding up a camera in front of her face. Even when she's anything interesting she might see, she just lifts it up right away. If she were wearing short sleeves, you might see some interesting scars, but she doesn't tend to do that when she is out and about. So if she's walking by this section, she's probably already got the camera up with a big old zoom lens.
And so, what are you doing here? Why are you at this crime scene?
That's a good question. I feel like it would have been just happened upon. I mean, if she's downtown, it might be along one of her routes. If she was on the way home or something, it feels like a happenstance. But then she's always kind of, whether it's good luck or bad luck, she's always had some preternatural luck. So just something. And
she's drawn to, so as a photographer, she's drawn to scenes of, events that she can capture through her camera's eye, right?
Oh yeah. If she got a whiff of something going on, she would have wanted to have been there as soon as possible. It also makes sense with the kind of work she does. She hangs a lot around like courthouses. So anything to do with crime or odd things she would be drawn to and want to get the first look at it.
Okay. And so what you see in front of you is a lot of commotion, right? You see that you have arrived on the scene after whatever has happened inside of the library. But there's clearly a number of investigators kind of moving through, and the police is, kind of walking the line and interviewing witnesses. You catching little bits of information like there was a getaway car and it looked like they were bundling somebody, away. But just little snippets of information as it's kind of dropping for you. No clear indication as to who was involved, what was going on, or just what was what the whole circumstance is. Only just sort of small bits.
Yeah, if I heard something about someone getting bundled away, I would immediately be more interested.
Right. So there's clearly a news story here, or there's clearly a story, an event that would attract Roslyn. So, you're making your kind of way around the crowd a little bit, and you see a familiar face. Detective Catherine Devereaux is on the scene and kind of working with a couple of other investigators and a CSI individual to move in and do some further investigation, and you hear a name drop, the last name of Dirae, and that's all you hear. And if it kind of triggers your memory that it's possibly one of the Dirae sisters are involved, whatever that means.
Cool. I know Detective Devereaux.
You've met her before at scenes, right? It's very common as if you're coming to a crime scene, especially in the downtown area. Detective Devereaux, she is one of the lead detectives in respect to unusual cases. Typically, she is a homicide detective, but more unusual circumstances. Absolutely.
Can I take a picture of her?
Oh yeah, you can get a picture of her. You're behind the police line, so right, you've got the camera's eye. Whatever it can see, you can capture.
Great. Yeah, I'll start snapping. Roz tends to like people, capturing different people around her, so she'd probably start with Catherine and then see if anything interesting's around her.
So you begin to kind of take pictures of the scene. The steps in front of you are about 50 feet out. They've got you on the street. It's very much the way I've never been to New York, but it's the way I imagine the New York Public Library to look. Right, the downtown library with the lines. You've got the facades of the statues there, and you've got the columns and everything. But this is at night, and there's everything is lit by the emergency lights. The vehicles more than sort of street lights and stuff. So
then I up my ISO on that camera.
Absolutely. And so you're taking these pictures and you're kind of capturing the scene, and nothing really kind of stands out to you immediately as you're kind of taking the scene, but there's definitely a lot of traffic going in and out of the library, and you kind of pan around as you're starting to take some pictures of the crowd. And you notice a very strange figure sort of standing off in the distance across the street. And we're going to cut to Charlie. Charlie, what are you doing there standing across the street from this scene?
Probably observing it, but I can't because I'm blind. So...
Well... Right, there's something that allows you to...
I would be like listening in. What time of day is it?
What time of day is it? Oh, it's nighttime.
Yeah, it's nighttime.
Yeah. It's after hours of the library being closed.
All right, then I would definitely be just like trying to be inconspicuous as possible and looking or listening in.
What do you look like? Describe yourself to us.
I'm like a 5'3" short blonde, and I'm wearing glasses to hide my eyes. I'm dressed in darker colors and have my keen eye stick, and I'm trying to look casual as possible.
Okay, so what attracted you to the scene? How did you get here? Like, what drew you to the scene? What brought you in?
Good question.
Was it, I mean, so I know from your power tags, and we'll start
Yeah.
talking about a little bit of the mechanics of the characters, right? But I know from one of your power tags is that you have very keen senses, including the sense of hearing. Were you drawn by the sirens?
Probably yes. I would have definitely been drawn by the sirens.
Okay, and so you're getting a sense of the scene as it plays out in front of you in the way that you perceive the world, and cutting back to Roslyn, this seems really unusual as there is this young blind woman who just appears to be staring, blankly. But she's clearly got her cane, and she's clearly got glasses so that you can't see. But it's really unusual because she's sort of hanging, out there, just kind of observing the situation.
Yeah, I'd probably, she's across the street, I'd go up to her or get closer to her so I'm not quite it's so close in the crowd. I don't need to be now that I have my zoom lens.
Okay.
It's awkward trying to make conversation with someone just like
Hey.
I'll take a picture of her and see if she notices the click. I was like I'll take it from the middle as I'm crossing toward her.
I would definitely jar my head a little bit, with my ear though, instead of looking at you.
Mm-hmm.
And then go probably start walking down the block.
Oh, that's really interesting. Maybe she's just casual. Maybe I don't know. I don't want to just follow some random woman. That would be creepy. So I won't, and I will stay where I am.
I was gonna say, so you're like a Jessica Jones, and I'm like,
Oh, this is gonna get weird real quick. Just wait, just real quick. Does that make Henry the night nurse?
yeah.
Noise.
So,
Oh god.
Yeah, I'd go back to looking at the library. I'm curious, but I'm not going to follow a woman because I would not do that for reasons.
okay. So, your camera pans back onto the scene, and you're taking pictures from a very different angle.
Mm-hmm.
And as you're kind of shooting into the scene, you notice that there are a couple of individuals in medical garb kind of making their way into the scene itself. Now we're going to cut to Henry. Henry, you were at your hospital on shift, or you were doing something at the hospital because you needed to either do some extra credit or something something involving your education because you're a medical student.
Yeah.
As a last minute, you were roped into an emergency situation, as apparently there was a number of things going on downtown in an emergency, or there were some emergency situations that called for more than what was on hand. Mm-hmm. And so you were kind of roped into the scene to kind of help the medical examiner because you were there at the time, right? You were the body that they were able to kind of grab as an extra pair of hands. And so you're on scene and you're not even sure what's going on, but you're in the middle of this setting of these emergency individuals, police and what have you, and you're being directed by the medical examiner to kind of head in when you get a chance to. And there's another pair of hands, kind of personal, and like an orderly that came with you as you're doing that. So.
All right. Henry would be just following orders of the medical examiner. He has no license yet to be able to like really, I guess, take authority, but he would be taking the guidance of the medical examiner, who would be the person who would be in charge right now.
Right.
So describe the body to me.
So there isn't a body yet. You're not inside, right? You're being prompted to go inside to the library with this gurney and this other orderly individual. So. All
right. So we take the gurney and we go right inside.
Okay. So as you do so, you kind of make your way up to the steps. There's a fair bit of traffic coming in and out, and you come into essentially the hallway, the entry, the foyer, essentially of the library, and there's also a bit of commotion there, as well as a number of officers in uniform are talking to a couple of CSI investigators and talking about different things. There was a window break-in off to your right-hand side. There's a bit of commotion of debris from the bathroom on the left-hand side, but one of them kind of sees you and says, and points you into the library proper, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you continue into essentially the main room of the library, and this is a gigantic affair, and it's got like a balcony or a mezzanine on the second level, and there's this big grand stairway at the back of the room that kind of leads up to that second level, and there's various doors that lead off of the main library itself, and it's usually really well lit in here, but it's after hours, so it's mostly dark, except there are a number of emergency floodlights that have been engaged to kind of illuminate the situation. And there's also other portable kind of light displays that are kind of laid out in front of you to highlight various aspects, and you see two bodies on the ground, on different sides of the room, and they're drawing outlines, and they're kind of they're taking all kinds of pictures. And one of the CSI guys kind of waves you over and says, "Just give me another minute. I'm going to take some more pictures here, and then you can start to prep the body." And you're looking down at this individual, and it's face down. Looks to be a young gang member of some kind.
Henry would looks very saddened by this, and he kind of looks to the medical examiner, and he walks up. He's like, "So, what happened to him?"
We're not quite sure. Preliminary analysis of the scene indicates that somebody hit him with a hammer or something. Like his chest is completely imploded. It's like his rib cage and everything, and his chest is sunken in. And like the description, just the medical examiner kind of goes on. I can't wait to get the bodies back to the office so that I can start to really do an intense investigation.
Okay. Right. So I kind of like scanned the room, so I noticed that there's the break-in off to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Does it look like this body was thrown through anything?
No, but it's clear from the impact. So you can't really see it yet until as he's taking his pictures, but you can see that both bodies are on opposite sides of the room. And so you get a little curious, right? And you kind of, step away from your gurney. And the orderly kind of takes, in charge of it for just a second. And you step over to the other side of the room to kind of get a gander and see what the CSI investigator over there has to say. And she responds that it's a very similar situation, but they are on opposite sides of the room.
So I look at the two bodies and I kind of start putting two and two together, and I would like to examine the area that would be somewhat in the center Like if you had to draw a line between those two bodies, like, right in the center of that line, that's where Henry would kind of look.
Okay, so
to see.
you're looking to do the first official roll of the game and do an investigate move, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay, excellent. So we'll go really, really quickly into this. As I was just trying to actually get the other scene set up, I'm not going to be able to do that before we need to roll, so we'll hold off on the moment for that. So the investigate move, if you look in your in Roll20, there are a couple PDFs in there that kind of illustrate the moves. What applies in respect to power tags from your theme books in your character sheet?
Let's see. I think Ebb and Flow from his martial arts training. He knows how to read a body, but he also has an eye for detail.
Okay.
He has to be very detail oriented to notice the slight shifts in a body, muscle movement, and micro expressions and whatnot.
Okay. So for the audience, there are theme books that make up a character, and they have these things called power tags. And power tags are the just vague descriptive terms that allow the player to apply them to their role. And when you roll, it's 2d6, and there are varying levels of success and failure, and we can talk a little bit about that too. So the ebb and flow makes sense as a power tag. I also think in this particular case, your evasive footwork is going to apply.
Okay.
Because you see that there are actual footprints on the floor, kind of, in the dust and the scattered debris around. You see some footprints, so it could give you some element of insight into that particular thing. So why don't you go ahead and roll that?
Okay. So I just hit the little.
You hit the investigate button at the top, and the detail from it is you've got a result of an 8. So you didn't add your power tags to it, so you had actually 2 tags. So this would actually be what they call this isn't a mild success. It's actually a full success. So let me make sure I have the details open here on this. Hello, where'd my...
How do you add your power tags?
At the top,
positive status.
plus positive
okay, that's
status.
what got me confused. Okay.
Yeah.
No, so you can also click on your tags in the character sheet, and they will apply to the roll. The only problem is that you have to clear them afterwards. That's another way for doing it.
Okay.
Again, and there was a little bit of a conversation that was going on before we got live. These character sheets are really, really broken, and we need to get them fixed. They aren't as applicable as they need to be for the game. So,
contact your local Roll20 representative. Let's get this fixed.
Yeah, we're gonna try to do
I'm
that.
personally feeling very good that you got a full success, and that's the first roll of our crew.
I know.
It is pretty damn cool, actually. So,
Only
Yay!
good things will come from this.
so
Henry.
you get to ask me.
I get to ask you a question.
You get to ask me. So with a full success, you get to ask me. Hold on just a second. Let me flip this page so I can read it correctly. Because, hi, do that, please. Oh no, that wasn't what I wanted. Hold on a second, guys. Hashtag pro streamer, always prepared. So player moves. You let's see. With a full success, you get to ask me a number of clues. You get to ask me a number of questions based on the number of power tags that you applied, and so you applied 2 of them.
Okay.
So you get to ask me 2 questions, and I will give you pretty much a sort of a true or false, or if there's more details that seem relevant without giving away too much of it in the first go around, then I'll give you that. As the investigation builds and as you work more through this, more details will become clearer, and you'll get clearer answers as the investigation goes on, as you get towards the end of whatever the case is.
All right. Henry's first question so he notices that there are footsteps.
Mm-hmm.
Where do they look like they're leading before I ask this question?
They're all over the floor.
They're all over the floor. Okay.
Yeah. So, and that's part of, like, you can't. There's not a footprint that indicates for every step taken, but there are definitely footprints. On, like, there's a book where you can see an impression of a foot, and there's another spot where there's some dust on the ground, and you can see the impression of a shoe there, or what have you. So,
so at the epicenter
mm-hmm.
Of all of this, the center of the line between the two bodies, does it look like there was any kind of explosion? Like, the explosion doesn't have to be combustible, but it like maybe two forces colliding and creating some kind of outward movement.
Some sort of like an energy burst of some kind.
Yeah. So like two forces of equal strength hitting each other, which would cause these two bodies to be on opposite ends of the room.
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
Okay. So here's let me clarify that. You see that there was some force of energy that was projected one way,
mm-hmm.
and then there's a force of energy projected another way.
Okay. Is there anything that indicates that there was a third party involved?
Was there a third party involved? No.
Okay. So.
Oh, well, wait a minute. Sorry. What do you mean by a third party?
Like, okay, so you got John Doe 1 on the left, John Doe 2 on the right. Was there a third person? Is there anything that would indicate that there was a third person involved?
No.
Okay.
There is nothing that indicates. There's nothing that stands out to you that there was a third person involved.
Okay. So. Now I notice this looks weird and supernatural. I feel like this is something that Henry has dealt with before. Just the weird, the weird patients that come into the ER occasionally with these cuts or bruises that they can't explain. They don't know where they came from, or something happened that they can't explain. I feel like Henry has dealt with this before, and this is just that on a more massive scale. Now he has two bodies that have similar injuries. There's no indication that there is a third party, but I think Henry would like to flip over the body and look at the concaved chest cavities.
So as you're looking at the chest cavities, it's clear that the depression happens right at the center, at the solar plexus, and that it radiates out as across the chest.
All right, so Henry kind of like looks at his fist and then looks at the indent, and he kind of like pushes it in to the crater, trying to get like the scope. Like, was this a battering ram? Was this a fist? What would have caused this specifically to happen?
So as you're kind of looking at that, and you size it up, this is going to be the answer to your second question. It clearly does look like there was something about the size of a fist as the center of the impact.
Okay. The next thing that he'll investigate are the knuckles, because most people who've gotten into fights would have abrasions on the knuckles.
Okay, so are you talking about looking at the person himself?
Yeah, yeah. I'm looking at the body's knuckles to see whether or not like there are indications that he got into a major fight. I mean, obviously, but
Right, right.
he's just crossing off things.
Okay, so as he as you're kind of beginning to look at that and kind of digging in, the medical examiner comes in and says, "Listen, guys, we just got to get this kind of cleared away. They've got other things that they need to do. There's also another body in the back that we've got to get to as well."
I stop and I look at the medical examiner. And I kind of look at the body, and he stands up, and then more of as like a matter of factly, he points at the crater. That man was punched.
Kind of looks at you. That's impossible. I don't know what there's nobody could punch with that type of strength.
Well, there's been some crazy things that have been happening around the city. But yeah, no, look at the center of this crater. And he indicates, he's like, and he takes his fist and he puts it in the crater. He's like, this is a fist. I don't know how, but this has to be some kind of fist. There was somebody else involved.
That's confusing. I can't see that that's possible. Listen, we'll get them back to the coroner's. We'll get them back to the medical examiner's office, and we'll take a look at this. What's your discipline in medicine again? What are you studying, son?
Biology, mainly is my main focus. But I like to read all kinds of books and stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, just go ahead and take care of this, and then we'll get you back there with the third. We're going to need another gurney. There's a gurney coming up. You'll be able to get back to the back room and take care of that. And so, as you are beginning to help with the body and get it prepared and get it out the door, in walks Seth Anna with an officer being directed to talk to one of the lead investigators at the center of this chaos. And the officer kind of, you want to talk to her, and she's pointing to a CSI investigator, rather young, short hair, really probably 25, 26, looks really in place, has a little an iPad of some kind or some sort of personal device where she's taking notes, and it's obvious that she even though she's listening, she's just kind of engaged with this. And this this officer kind of brings you up. You want to talk to her. She knows more about what did you say the company's your name again, or your company is again? Seth Anna, excuse me, Miss Burke.
Miss Burke. My company is MedEcorex. So make sure you write that down.
Well, you can talk to this young woman or this woman here, and he kind of just he wanders off and he points you in the direction of the CSI, the young CSI investigator.
Well, he looks at Sathana, and he at first he kind of gives her a wave like, oh, hello, and he kind of like looks down, and then he points at the body, and he's like, that man was punched.
Right. Okay. So he was punched.
Yes. I have reason to believe that both bodies were punched on opposite sides of the room, and he kind of beams with pride.
Why are you so happy? These kids are dead.
Yes, but death is just another part of life, really. It's sad and
sure.
But hey, we can avenge them. We can bring the person who punched them to justice.
Okay. You sure that perhaps this isn't drug related? Maybe someone was just super high on PHP.
Well, we haven't been able to get them back to the lab and look at their blood. So we haven't been able to really determine whether or not they had drugs in their system.
Okay. Right. Do I recognize any of these kids?
You do. they happen to work for you, or they happen to become company individuals for your company. They're little delivery guys. However, they are wearing outfits that clearly indicate that they are a part of some gang.
Oh, okay. Do they have any? Okay. Do I recognize the gang?
You do not. You're not. Are you? Given what your backstory is, what you just shared with me, yeah, you're not streetwise in that way.
I didn't want it to be, but it was just a case of she would recognize the obvious one.
Right.
Do I know these kids' names?
No, you don't.
Okay.
You recognize. You've seen them. Essentially around the office. They've come in. They've done delivery stuff. They've helped where they can in respect to physical labor around the office. But you do not recognize them.
So I'm here on the official capacity of insurance.
No, you were called because you found out that they were identified as being employed by your company, and you fielded the call because your boss and everybody else is out of town, and you're kind of the point man for emergency situations, and this is clearly an emergency situation.
Okay. I don't recognize these boys per se, but I know they work for they work for my boss. So I'm gonna need an update on who they are so I can notify their family, let the boss know, make sure that certain people don't find out that we may or may not be involved. A little concerned because clearly they're off duty. Hopefully they've got no drugs on them or been using them. So.
Well, if you give me your contact information, I can tell the lab technician to send them straight to your office as soon as they have been completed.
I think it would be really good if we kept this list short. So if you could get hold of me directly, there won't be any misinterpretations or anything. Just want to make sure I get all the information on the button on the moment. Here's my card, and I'll pick up my card and just hand it over to him. I assume I have a gazillion of them.
Sure.
Henry takes the card and his green eyes kind of light up, and it's like, wow, this is a beautiful card, just wonderful. The type heading on it is great.
It's a really good weighted. Between you and me, there's a little star around the corner. Like the DSM on this paper. Oh, it's beautiful. You don't want to go for any cheap, crappy stuff.
The young woman.
And you are.
My name is Henry Windsor, medical student.
You're a student.
Yes, they just saw a warm body and they kind of threw me in the back of the ambulance and told me that there was a situation.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, as soon as your boss, your teacher gets involved, I would love to speak to them directly.
Right. The person who's in charge was, and he kind of looks and he starts pointing. He's like, the medical examiner. Well, when I find out who's in charge, I will definitely let you know.
Good. Anytime, day or night. How can I get hold of you? Just call through to the city morgue or?
No, you can. And he starts patting his scrubs, and he pulls out his phone and he swipes it open, and he goes all the way to the phone because he can't remember his phone number, and he's like, this is my number and you can reach me through that way.
I'll write it down. Yeah, I'll write it down. Okay, well, that's perfect. Anytime, night or day, you're going to get hold of me on my mobile. So.
Okay, wonderful. Fantastic. Wunderbar.
You're awfully chipper for someone who's found 2 dead kids. Just gonna throw that out there.
Well, it's just the circle of life, really, isn't it?
Yeah, sure.
The wheel ever turns.
And then walk away.
All right. Bye.
So the officer that you were escorted in with begins to escort you out, takes you out to the front, and you can see that there's the chaos going on in front. And of course directs you to a break in the police line where you can actually kind of move on and kind of go about your way. And so we're going to cut back to Roslyn, kind of noticing this and taking pictures. And you recognize Sethana, Miss Burke. Because she works for a very famous pharmaceutical company. She is, what was your position again? Your CEO's, executive assistant?
I'm basically the personal assistant. I do all the shit.
Right. And so you would have recognized her that she's there with the CEO for that particular corporation, all over the place, right?
Does that strike me as odd that she's at a crime scene?
No, yes, I would think it would. I would think it would.
I really want to get in there. Is Charlie still close around?
Where is Charlie?
She had kind of walked away, but if she hasn't gone too far, I have an idea.
I mean, I would have walked actually more towards the crime scene.
Oh, cool. I'm gonna kind of go up to her, making enough noise. Like, if I get the sense, I see her stick, I want to, be polite and not like touch her, but just kind of announce my presence. Hey.
Oh, hello.
What have you heard anything about what's going on in there?
Really not much, actually. I'm just waiting for my car to pick me up, and honestly, this just had to happen right here.
I don't know, I think something interesting might be up in there. Would you do me a favor?
And you're asking a stranger to do you a favor?
I am. I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
And what?
It's from a movie, but I like movies.
And what would this, be?
Just agreeing with everything I say. We're gonna go in the library.
I mean, okay.
Okay. I want to wave down Catherine.
First of all, would I see the police commissioner or anyone around?
No, you would not see any city officials that you would recognize. You don't hear their voices.
Because you are blind.
Well, okay, do I hear any? Do I know if anyone is around that would recognize me?
Would you know if there's anybody around that recognizes you? Based on the voices, no.
Okay. Dang.
So I kind of hook Charlie's arm if she'll let me.
Yeah.
And I wave at Catherine.
And Catherine's kind of, doing her thing and investigating, and she looks up. Is that? Excuse me a second. And she walks over. Well, Roslyn, what are you doing here?
Oh, I was just on my way in. My friend here, we had an appointment. There's a special delivery of a book, an old book, all in Braille, and we were supposed to get in the library tonight, and it seems like things have kind of gone a little haywire here. But it's the only time she's not in town for very long.
We've got an active crime scene here. I can't let you inside, and it's after library hours too. The both of you are going to have to come back tomorrow. I more expected to kind of see you here, to actually be, doing, your freelance photography investigation. I'm a little surprised that you're helping your friend here and not taking pictures. I mean, I see you've got your camera there.
I mean, I take pictures, but it's she's not in town all the time, and that was what we were doing. I would have been home otherwise.
Okay.
Are you sure we can't get in? I mean, it's up, on one of the floors. It looks like you guys are kind of down there from what I've seen. I mean, we wouldn't be in the way.
Are you trying to convince her?
Does it sound like I'm trying to convince
Absolutely. So why don't we go ahead and
Okay.
do, well, have you do a convince move.
Okay.
What power tags do you think apply to this?
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, persuasive aura might.
Okay.
That's one of my mythos tags. Under expression.
Okay.
I don't know if Sundry Contacts would. I mean, I seem to have known her already.
Yes, you have. I mean, because of your previous work, you would have crossed paths, and she would recognize you on sight, kind of a thing. Okay. But it's like from in my head, how I would play it is that it's a sort of not a formal relationship, but it's like an acquaintance, not acquaintance, in the same job situation, kind of a thing. So.
Okay, then I did not date her, so I will not apply that weakness tag. I was gonna ask, but I guess I didn't. So.
Well, I don't know. You tell me. Did you and Catherine, Devereaux date at some point in the past?
Yes, because I just like the idea.
Right.
She was your college fling.
Oh yeah, she could have been your college fling, and she'd be really uncomfortable that you're holding the arm of another woman.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm like cute when I do it, so it's okay.
All right, so that weakness tag definitely applies, and this situation is going to get even more interesting.
That's why I'm here. So if so then it comes out to 1, right? Because there were 2 powers and
one weakness. That's correct.
Okay. I don't think anything else would apply. Okay.
The nerves.
Okay.
That's not.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
7.
So this is where it gets interesting. With a mild success in a convince, she either takes a status that is relevant to you, which means that the next time you roll, it's going to be a power tag for you based on the number of statuses that she takes, or you can get a little bit from her to advance your agenda.
I like the latter.
Okay. She looks at you, looks over to Charlie.
Very platonic arm hook.
Is it a platonic arm hook? Or is it? Are you playing up the charm of Okay, and she looks at the. And she shakes her head. You know that I can't. And she mumbles under her breath, "I can't resist. You shouldn't ask for these kinds of favors, Roslyn."
I know.
And she's all right. Come in real quick.
Okay.
And I'm gonna take you inside. And we're gonna go to the desk, and you're gonna get, and then you begin to walk up inside, into the foyer area. And she's like, "Just give me a second." And she walks off to go talk to a couple of officers, leaving you and Charlie there alone, for the moment.
So what do we see in the?
You see the foyer,
What do
which
I
is
hear?
Yeah.
well. Hold on. So here you're in the foyer, right?
Uh-huh.
So there's a group of officers off to the right. I can't remember exactly what I described for Henry, but there was something going on off to the right. There was a broken window. That's right. There was a broken window, and the that was the entry point, according to what Charlie is hearing. From the conversation that's going on, then they're pointing out, and Charlie, you can visualize. You get that sense of visual what's going on, and Roslyn, you see them kind of pointing, and what Charlie hears is talking about the entry point. Off to the left, there is something that happened, towards the bathroom on that side. There's like a restroom there, and the smell coming out of there, Charlie, is really kind of driving your senses a little bit. It hasn't been cleaned in a while. And then in front of you is the entryway into the actual foyer, into the actual library proper, the main room of the library.
Mm-hmm.
So when I overhear any of these conversations the officers are
You hear bits and pieces. You don't hear a lot of it. Like I said, you hear conversation about breaking and entering off to that side. You'd have to focus in, and if you're doing that, then we're going to do what's called an investigate move for more
let's
details.
Investigate. I want to investigate.
All right. So this is an investigate roll on your character sheet. What power tags do you think apply here?
I can filter out noise, so I can listen in just to one conversation.
Okay.
I guess I can also sense. No, I don't think sensing the finest details would count.
In this particular case, it might apply because the way that at least I'm imagining your ability to see without having sight is in the same way as like Daredevil or Toph. The vibrations, any steps, voices cause a resonance to happen around, and so you can see things. So I think that that is a perfect tag to apply to it. Do any of your weakness tags apply?
I don't think I'd have a sensory overload. Because I don't think there would be that much noise in a library.
Well, sensory overload could be any of your other senses, right? Like the overwhelming smell, right? But in this particular case, the smell isn't all consuming.
Okay.
So yes, that's not going to apply at this time. So it sounds like you've got an investigate roll with +2 for power.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I'm gonna get like a really bad roll.
No,
not bad.
7's not bad. Okay,
doing well.
You get to ask me a clue. A little bit less vague than last time, just because the crew is starting to kind of come together a little bit in the same spot, and you're looking at different things. So you get to ask me one question, and if you're having trouble with the question, please feel free to open it up to the table. The table can totally help you.
Table, what should I ask?
You're trying to listen to the conversations from the broken window.
Yeah. I can basically hear through walls. What?
Oh, cool. Names, maybe? Any names that pop out, or
names.
That would be useful, or just generally what's going on, because we don't know any of that stuff that's happening in the library proper.
Can I listen to just what generally they're talking about, but specifically if they have any names they're dropping? What?
A couple names that you hear dropped is the first name before Roslyn did pick up, which is Dirae, and you're kind of listening in, for kind of to figure out who it is, or what's if you can get like a first name or anything, and you find out that it's Megan Dirae, and just for your reference, it's spelled Megan Magan, and the last name is Dirae, and apparently Megan Dirae is the subject that they're concerned about because she's missing.
Missing.
And you hear another name dropped very briefly, or you hear another piece of information that kind of dropped. It's a name, and so it kind of catches you, and that is the Walker Foundation. And the Walker Foundation catches your ear because just recently, at a local coffee shop in downtown, in the downtown district, Gerald Walker, the last member of the Walker family, was recently murdered.
Okay. Would I have any ties to that, like with my backstory?
Your family would be familiar with the Walker Foundation. So the Walker Foundation is a nonprofit started by the Walker family, and as I said, Gerald was the last one. The Walker Foundation specializes in helping people, helping the homeless, helping the mentally ill individuals, anybody with any type of disability. They provided, free services, the counseling, all of that, right? Inpatient, outpatient. Their focus was to help those that needed the most help in the world.
Yeah, okay. Then I would just listen in and act like nothing really was happening.
Okay. And so you're kind of, focusing in on that. What is Roslyn doing?
Me? Oh, look at this. It's so long. I'm trying to so it's just the crowd of people by the broken window. There's a bathroom and then the library proper is ahead.
Yes, and walking through that door from the library proper is this quite serious woman looking to get out of here. So Ms. Burke is heading your general direction.
Somebody walked out of there of an active crime scene. Catherine. Okay. So from where she's walking, if I lift up the zoom, kind of looking like I might be taking a picture of her, and I'm engaging the silent, like I'll use the LCD screen on my camera because that makes it quieter.
Okay.
So, and I will try to see past her if I see anything way down yonder.
So you see Henry and a couple of other individuals beginning to load 2 bodies onto a couple of gurneys. You see that there are books and other kind of debris scattered all over the floor. And Henry, even as you're kind of doing this, describe what your mannerisms are, or what you're doing as she kind of observes you, just kind of looking. Are you taking in the scene even more, or you're very focused on what you're doing? What does she see through the camera lens?
So Henry is a very inquisitive person. He likes to help people. So his first priority would be to be getting the bodies on to the gurney.
Mm-hmm.
But he would look at the other orderly, and the other orderly would be like, "Yeah, I got this. I can do this by myself and stuff." So after the bodies are loaded, he would start almost not really dancing, but it kind of looks like that, as he's like light on his toes, trying to not step on anything or move anything or contaminate the crime scene. But he's going over to where the bodies fell, and he kind of like kneels down, and he looks like he's trying to catch a scent. He's not sniffing, but he's looking for some kind of clue, like a piece of debris that fell the wrong way, or something that indicates something else.
Okay. All right, and so you capture him doing that along with the other investigators. He stands out to you, though. There's something about him that just kind of stands out. You see that in the farther back of the room, towards the left side of the staircase, the grand staircase that kind of leads up to the second level in the back, in the recess that is there between the staircase and the actual corner, there's a little bit of a space, and there's another investigation going on back there as well. As the woman that is Miss Burke just kind of steps completely into the lens, view, kind of taking you out of the moment.
Do we have if you know me, do I also know you?
I mean, if you don't know me, you'd probably recognize me if you got close enough.
Yeah.
For reasons.
Would you Well, wait a minute. Can I ask?
Yeah, sure.
Let's ask questions about this. We can help set
Sure.
some precedents here in respect to that. How long has it been since you were in the public eye?
10 years.
And so you were in the public eye as a child. Now you're an adult. How much have you changed physically versus how much are you trying to hide your appearance?
Right. It's more trying to hide than really having changed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could potentially recognize her. It's really up between you and Roslyn there, but it seems like it's possible.
I was just thinking that if you know me as being someone who is clearly someone in the know, the kind of the oh shit fix it person, and you are the kind of reporter that just goes around and snaps pictures of people of those kind of scenes, and she's there's a high chance that she would recognize you from now, if not from the past.
Yeah, totally.
So it'd be a case of like, oh, for fuck's sake. Like, Roslyn, really? Come on. Unless we want to be friends. I mean, you know, you'll be around doing those sort of things. You say you're a reporter, a photographer?
Yeah, a photojournalist who happens to like or be attracted to crime.
Yeah, I mean, there's a high chance we could just know each other.
Yeah, I like it.
Like, you're constantly around asking questions, and there could be like this begrudging, like, oh, come on. I mean,
why is she in here?
Yeah, I mean, we could be friends of sorts. I mean, that would be kind of cool. I mean, there's if you're into this sort of like checking out like crime stuff, and she's a bit of a fix-it kind of lass, then yeah, there's a chance we may know about each other. But no,
real quick question before we interact. Was I able to snap a picture of the bodies as they were being loaded to along with Henry? Like, did I see what's up with them in any way?
I would assume so.
Okay.
Like you would see something that's off about their chest, right? You'd have to spend some time and actually, you know, probably blow it up, right? You know, throw it into like Photoshop or whatever and kind of take some real look at it. But you did notice that there was something off, especially with the way that Henry was handling them, because he was also, again, very curious about the situation with the chest.
Yes.
That man was punched.
That man was punched. Okay, cool. So as Sethana comes into my camera view, I kind of drop it, although she's probably farther away than I think she is because I have to zoom up. Hey.
Hi. How's it going? Oh no.
What?
You saw me, didn't you?
I mean, it's kind of hard to miss.
Oh God. You know, I can't officially say anything, right?
Absolutely. I would never ask anyone to do that ever officially. This is my friend, and I kind of tug, whose name is one that I know.
She's so rude. I am so sorry. I'm Sethana. Nice to meet you.
You are? Nice to meet you. I'm Charlie.
Charlie. Cool.
I have a quick question here as this is happening. Charlie, if they offer you a hand, do you shake it?
No, I would offer my hand.
Okay.
It's like, I'm not going to offer her a hand. This is not really her thing. I'll take the hand. But I'll take it. I don't, you know, almost all my other characters offer hands, but no, I'll shake a hand.
Okay. All right. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, I was curious about the whole, you know, it's the first time I've had a blind character at the table. I was kind of curious in that response. So.
No, yeah, I would, you know, if they offered me a hand, I'd just not know. I mean, I would know it's there, but I wouldn't know it's there.
You're not supposed to know it's there.
Yeah, basically.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
Charlie had an appointment, and I just thought I'd, you know, walk her in.
You tried to walk into an active crime scene. Come on, how many times has that actually worked?
I mean, ta-da!
Oh my God. Okay, so
It was for we're here for legitimate reasons. Can you say anything off the record? I saw the chest of that guy.
oh right, yeah. Oh, this the crime scene tech. I've got his name and number here somewhere. Just doesn't really matter. He says that they were punched. I don't know if it's true.
What?
But it's kind of weird.
I mean, lots of people have been punched in their lives.
Oh no, this was pretty brutal. This was like hollow rib cage kind of punched.
Holy
Like,
shit!
from one side of the room to the other. That tech guy was awfully chipper about it.
Yeah, I have a picture of him dancing around a little.
Yeah.
He must really like his job.
He really seemed to be overly excited that he'd figured out these kids had been punched. I mean, man,
Charlie, you're funny. Which I've known because we're
We're
old
best friends.
Best, yeah.
Best old friends.
Best so old.
How did you two meet?
It was back in the day, and you know, I was walking. She was walking.
I'm very friendly. You know, if I see somebody walking, I just walk up to them and I hook their arm.
Okay,
You know,
okay.
I'm blind. I walked into a wall. She helped. Friends since then.
I'm very friendly.
I look between the two, like, come on, really, come on. All right.
That usually
So
works on people.
that's all. It's not working on me.
No,
I mean,
it shouldn't.
that's all I can really say. I don't know. Did you pick up anything? I mean, I've got a. Yeah, there are things here.
There seems to be something going on in the back by the staircase, but it's a little out of my range. Are you sure that you couldn't? There's nothing you needed to do in there that we could help you with?
There is absolutely no reason I could walk back onto an active crime scene and say, "Hey, can I go check out the back staircase
You
with
lost
my retarded friend and a blind
walking
girl, my walking friends?"
You could say you lost the guy's card.
I could just go back and hit on him.
I mean, that seems more sketchy than what I did, but I support you. And I think that we should all go back in there.
I don't think that's gonna work. I mean, I've got everything I need from him. I can't really go back in there.
Okay. If you really don't want to, I understand.
Great.
It's okay because at this time he has the first of the two bodies that are being brought back on the gurney and is coming your direction. Henry, you see these three women just standing there, just having a conversation, and it's kind of striking you as odd because none of them are wearing uniforms of any particular kind. You do recognize.
I'm dressed very nice, just to let you know.
I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were dressed very nice.
That's its own uniform.
That is its own uniform. Casual. You're absolutely right.
I'm wearing a turtleneck, but it looks really good on me.
That's what you need to say to yourself to go to bed at night, sure.
I'm very attractive.
Oh, crap, he's coming over here.
Oh, maybe he's going to hit on you.
I doubt it. I mean, you're wearing a turtleneck.
Wait,
he just walks right past them.
Wait, does he?
My God.
Does he have the body on a gurney, like rolling?
Yes, but it's covered up, right? At this time,
I would like accidentally use my my seeing eye stick and like put it under like one of the wheels to like get it to stop.
Okay, and so you do that, and it kind of pops for a second, and the body just kind of lurches as the other orderly with Henry kind of looks over and realizes that you're blind, and then just kind of gets uncomfortable and starts to kind of pull again. Go ahead.
Henry like reaches over and he kind of like tugs at the walking stick, and he like hands it back to Charlie, and he's like, "Oh, you seem to have been missing this here." And he kind of just holds his hand out. Oh,
I would like
yes, right, and he like kind of grabs her wrist and like kind of like leads it to the walking stick. He's like, "There, yes, great,
how
wonderful,
kind of you.
wunderbar."
Thank you. That's so nice.
That is what that is. That is very nice. Right. And I kind of look at her. You don't seem to be sporting one of these. And he holds up the laminate badge that they give to everybody who is supposed to be on the crime scene. And then he like looks over at Roslyn. You don't seem to be sporting one either.
One of what? If you can't
Oh,
tell.
it's a badge, Charlie.
Oh, right.
Incense.
Yeah, I can't physically see that though.
Oh, right. And he grabs Charlie's hand again and he puts it on the laminate. There. Yes. So sorry.
I just like feel around it. It feels like plastic.
It is plastic, but it means you're allowed to be here and you don't have one.
They're with me. Charlie here is with me.
I'm an intern.
She's my intern, and obviously she needs assistance, so we've supplied her with someone to help her out, and that's her friend. Oh my god, I can't remember your character's name. Roslyn. They're actually with me.
No discriminating against the blind, you know?
Exactly. We're very inclusive here at Metropolis.
I've always wanted
Wonderful.
to be a part of this lovely company.
Wonderful. I always like to see people being kind to one another. It's just great.
It's not kindness. She's a good worker. That's why I hired her. Kindness has nothing to do with it. That would be discrimination.
Is it true that body got punched?
It's all for the records, of course. And I'll bring up my PDA. Oh my god. Just like... Oh,
Madam, I cannot confirm or deny any of that until the initial once-over is done by the
you
medical
seemed really
examiner.
sure about it earlier.
Yes, I was. That is true. But now I see the folly and the foolishness of that first prognoses.
What, do you think he got kicked instead?
No, what I think this was a well, I can't speculate. I have no authority.
Well,
It's true. He's actually just a student.
Right. So, anyways, let's come on, Jim. Let's get this body out of here.
And Jim's looking like you're crazy, and just while you were talking to him, and starts to pull you out as Catherine walks back up to Roslyn, looking. I see you've found another friend. The front desk is this way, but you're gonna have to follow me around the crime scene. We're gonna have to get you in from the back. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name? And she extends. My name is Catherine Devereaux. I'm the detective, one of the leading detectives here, and she reaches out towards Miss Burke, because I'm having trouble saying Seth Anna. I don't know why.
Seth Anna.
Oh
my god. Savannah. Doesn't matter.
super southern.
Is that an accent from Atlanta?
I don't know where this comes from. I just did it once, and someone said that's vaguely American, so I went with it. And then my other friend said that's nothing like American, so I'm going with not American.
But bad American accents are
I can't place
amazing. So Detective Devereaux reaches out her hand and says, "My name is Catherine Devereaux. I'm the lead detective here." And who are you, and what are you doing at my crime scene?
One of your officers brought me in. I am the representative from Metropolis, working on behalf of Anders Ersson.
Oh, okay. Well, did you recognize the two men that we found here? I mean,
I didn't. I know that they work for my company. I'm kind of like I'm gonna try and walk her away a little bit away from Roslyn.
Perfect.
I recognized the two boys as being people who work around the office. They tend to do deliveries and such. I don't actually know their exact names, so I'm hoping that now I've seen their faces, perhaps I can go back to the office and ID them. If not, then hopefully your medical examiners would do the same. Hopefully we can collaborate and come up with something. So obviously I need to take details for the company and make sure that we deal with this appropriately.
And which direction do you walk her? I mean, you're clearly trying to misdirect her. You're trying to change the game, I guess, is the move that it would be. But where are you trying to draw her attention from Roslyn and Charlie, or are you doing something else altogether?
I mean, she's kind of curious about the whole thing that's going down, so probably gonna be like trying to walk her way towards the back area that Roslyn was talking about.
Oh, and so okay. So she kind of just continues to talk to you about the situation. The two individuals here. Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry that your company is you lost these men. I'm not sure what they were doing here yet. The preliminary investigation seems to indicate that they were involved in the crime in some way, but then paid for it with their life. We're not really sure. Those end packs look like somebody used some sort of jackhammer weapon of some kind. We're not familiar with anything like that. And she just kind of takes you into the proper, and she's looking back at Charlie and Roslyn, making sure that they're following, and she starts to lead you the other side of the room, onto the right side versus the left side. Do you want to try to convince her or change the game to steer it that other direction?
Not particularly. Since if we're getting closer in general, then I'm going to use the camera.
Okay, well, I was actually asking Sathana, but that works too. I mean, that totally works too. So either or, just step in and just, it's all good. It's good to go. All right, so Sathana, do you want to change the game a little bit here, or do you want to just allow her to take? Okay.
I kind of want to draw her to the back because although I'm probably very, very well aware of Roslyn's methods.
You should have 2 mythos and 2 logos.
Okay. All right, I'll roll with that then.
All right, guys. Sorry, it looks like we're back. We had an OBS crash there, and we're just going to jump right back into it. Okay, so we were talking about change the game. So you want to get back there and you want to see it with your own eyes. How do you want to turn? How do you want to get Catherine Devereaux to just kind of to walk along with you or to take you back there at some point?
Is there anything I can see in that back area, just like from where I am now?
You can see that there's an active crime scene going on, that they've got like display lights and that kind of a thing. And you can see that there's about 3 or 4 individuals kind of working around something that's on the ground.
Catherine, there's a chance that some of these boys may be moving some of our product. We need to make sure. I mean, if that's what they've got over there, perhaps I can help you idea it and get it released a bit quicker.
And she stops as you say that, and she looks at you, and this is where we're gonna roll it.
Oh man!
And so I'm gonna switch over to the game table now because it's now all set up and good to go. So you're gonna try to change the game by asking to go back there. All right. So what power tags do you have that go that apply?
Currently, I have exactly 1 theme card.
Okay.
So
I think I have something that could help her.
All right. In this particular case, I know that there are specific rules. I didn't want to get into the rules about applying additional tags as assistance, but we're gonna roll with it right now. So, what do you think? What do you have, Sathana, that applies, and Roslyn, what do you have that can assist her?
Currently, in my single card, I have nothing that would apply unless I want to hurt her, feed off her fear, or summon a lightning weapon. So,
I think summon a white lightning weapon really kind of applies in this situation.
I mean, I could feed off. I mean, like using my patented like stretching it massively idea that we've done before. Maybe feeding off her fear of not being able to answer like what happened to these boys, because that would obviously paint her in a darker light, and it could cause panic. So
okay, all right, I'm good with that. So we're gonna apply that tag. Roslyn, what else applies here?
Well, one of my power tags is font of inspiration. So just being able to assist people with good ideas. So like if you got to read off of my interactions with Catherine, like something like that, even if it's like, just some way that I communicate that she would be receptive to messing with her that way.
Okay.
I think, to be honest, because you're a reporter, messing with her is just something I get from you anyway. That would just be naturally inspiring, the fact that you're here.
Yeah, that's a good point. And she knows me.
And we know each other one way or another. Yeah.
Okay, that's perfect. So that sounds like it's 2 power tags. For that 1 theme book, have you chosen a weakness yet?
Yes.
All right, so what's your weakness tag?
The weakness is when I lose control, I can't. My abilities can't tell friend from foe.
Your ability, okay. You're not. That doesn't seem to apply in this particular situation.
Nah.
You seem like you're very in control here. So, All right, so 2 power tags. One from you, one from Roslyn. And go ahead and roll change the game.
Well, how does one do that?
At the top, there is a dice button that says... And, okay, so mild success. You get juice equal power. Spend 1 juice...
I don't think it included her...
Oh, it didn't?
Her tags, so she'd have a 10.
She would have a 10.
Yeah, I haven't done anything about filling in this sheet yet. I'm struggling enough filling in the other one.
Yeah,
so
no kidding.
Figure out making this character as we go.
Well, so that's one of the interesting things about this game is it is a process to do character creation. So believe me, the conversations are just going to continue to happen, and it'll just be fun as we go along in the season. Okay, so you get so that's 10. You get 1. You get 2 essentially juices. Which allow you to do one of the following in that case. So you can spend a juice for each of those, like inflict a status on that NPC, create a new object or something into being that you might need in that situation, remove a status from yourself, or burn a player's tag. We won't get into that just yet. So how do you want to change the situation here? You've got 2 options to be able to change. And one of them you just introduced as you were describing this is you want to make sure that they weren't messing with your product. Mm-hmm. So do you want some evidence of your company's product there?
Yeah, if not necessary, if not like strictly the product, then maybe they were using like the various like because if they were delivery drivers, they would have like transport boxes and stuff like that. Okay. So maybe they're using that in their crime. So maybe there could be something there like that over by where they're investigating this little active crime scene in the back corner.
Okay, and then you've got another thing that you can do to essentially change the environment or inflict a status tag or something onto Catherine Devereaux or somebody else at the scene. You can do you want to do another element to this?
I definitely want to put a status on her because it's a very, very in line with her mythos. So yeah, I definitely want to inflict her somehow. I am not sure of the statuses because again, I've only just picked up the book yesterday.
Oh, sure. So the way that statuses work is they are essentially a type of effect. That it's a labeled effect applied to the individual, and they have varying levels or degrees, right? So they typically go 1 through 6, and 1 through 6 typically apply to players mostly or to big bads in the game. Most other NPCs have a status of 4, and it can vary from being dazed all the way up to being mortally wounded, kind of a thing, from like a 1 to a 4 kind of a situation. Because you're changing the game here, this effect is probably going to be psychological in some way. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to make a suggestion as what I think the status tag should be, and it's going to be a level 1 status tag. The table this is really a collaborative game, guys. So if you guys think of something better that kind of applies here, throw it out at the table, and we'll just decide whatever that status is. So Catherine seems to be probably a little intimidated by your knowledge of the situation and what could be at the crime scene, like. Because there's some evidence that your company's product and tools or gear is here, and the fact that she knew that, but she didn't tell you that, and you knew that, like you knew that you made the obvious jump to conclusion or whatever, and it's actually there, might intimidate her or make her feel inferior in some way. Like there's some negative impact to that. Does anybody else have anything besides intimidation?
I mean, it seems like we're working toward like under the thumb, but not to that extreme yet.
Sure. So is there another descriptive, word that kind of applies here that you guys think?
I mean, concern might be one. Like I haven't read the book, so I don't know.
No, but so
yeah, these are just spitballing.
Yeah, at this point it's going to be that as we get farther and farther along, things are going to be immediately obvious to us. Like this is a psychological effect of some kind and not a physical effect.
Yeah,
I think intimidation seems
okay.
I think she'd be uncomfortable.
Yeah, because
uncomfortable.
I think that she would be more questioning, because if I knew there was detail that she hadn't released, she would perhaps be really either concerned or intrigued by what I know.
Okay.
For example, she would be like, hang on a minute, she knew a detail that I didn't, and that either she's involved or she knows something that I could then use.
Like
So it may
perturbed.
not, yeah, it may not necessarily be an intimidate thing, which would totally work with the mythos, but I think like she would probably be intrigued or concerned about what it is that I would know that she doesn't. But I'm
So-
good with intimidate. I mean, I don't really know what the tags
Alerted.
are, so
Alerted is another one, right? So the concerned, the alerted, the uncomfortable, those are great examples of level 1 status tags, because they represent a state that's not like pervasive, like shocked or desperate or completely shell shocked in a way, or just loss of consciousness, but they do represent a state that's not like you're not 100%. So so I like the three options that you guys brought to the table over my intimidation, and those were concerned, alerted, or uncomfortable. What do you guys think out of those three makes sense here?
I'm going to say alerted.
Agreed.
Because she is a lead. She's the lead investigator of this investigation. She would not be intimidated by some Jane Doe that comes off the street.
No, I
She's
agree.
probably have plenty experience, but she'd be alerted, like in the sense that she's now kind of interested or suspicious.
Okay. So this tag will have a positive benefit.
Right.
So that's the other thing about this. So
Okay, so it would be more of an interest. So she would be more open to give information.
There you go.
To gain information.
Yeah, because that's a viable tactic of
More
if
tit for tat.
you get
Right.
So,
okay.
Pro quo.
So Catherine Devereaux has a status tag of interested at 1, and so this will apply to your role. Something come up about that, right? And it might have a negative impact, but it's not. It doesn't look like an obvious negative impact right now. But so as you do that, she kind of looks over and she looks at you and looks over, and she immediately turns around, almost completely ignoring Roslyn and Charlie, as they're kind of heading still that direction. And she's like, well, come here. And she takes you over to there. And so as you're kind of being drawn around to that, what are Roslyn and Charlie doing?
So she's going toward the other body, but that's not the same as near the staircase where there's more activity.
Right.
Okay.
Like you're being drawn to where the two bodies were. So there were two bodies that were kind of laid out, and then there's a bunch of debris, and then behind that is the actual main desk of the library, right at the center of the room, kind of a thing, where the head librarian would operate and answer questions, and that kind of a centralized situation.
Okay, and that's toward the staircase.
And that's in the center of the room, still towards the staircase, as Catherine and Sethan are being, Sethan being pulled back to the left side of the room, and then sort of heading back to the back corner, the back left corner.
Well, we said we were here for an appointment, so it seems like going toward the desk is a good idea.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, so as you kind of make your way around that right side of the room, you're walking between tables and chairs. You come around, you see a lot of debris on the ground. You see the outline of where the body is. You see there are some investigators looking at various little pieces of books and other things on the ground. There's a broken chair, and then you kind of make your way around towards the center of the room, and you were able to walk behind the desk of the main librarian, the sort of the main information desk at the center here. What do you guys want to do?
I know that I'd like to look at some of the debris that's hanging around near the outline, see if anything in particular looks like it stands out as being odd that it's there. Like, where did it come from? Kind of deal, or is it just books? Is it something else? Anything that looks like it was dropped and shouldn't be here, so that might be investigate.
Okay, so you're going to do an investigate roll. What power tags do you think apply here?
Okay. So I think that sharp eye obviously applies here.
Okay.
photographer maybe, because I have that added boon of being able to look closer without making it obvious that I'm looking closer.
Okay.
And then I don't think survival instinct would necessarily help unless it's related to some kind of struggle. So it might just be 2, photographer and sharp eye.
Okay. Is there a weakness?
I do have preternatural luck.
Sure.
But that, yeah. So
that also applies here. And so let me look at something real quick on your character sheets.
Okay.
Let's see. I don't think any of your weakness tags really kind of apply here. So go ahead and roll it.
Okay. I'm gonna do it. Okay. Investigate. 8.
Nice. So mild success. So with that, you're going to uncover, 1-to-1, but there is going to be a consequence. So you're going to get 3 questions, but there is going to be a consequence that kind of comes into play.
Cool. I love it. This is neat. Okay. Does anything around there look like it doesn't belong? Well, I guess it's a yes or no question. Like, what's the oddest thing lying there?
What's the oddest thing lying there?
Yes. Or the oddest thing about the area where the debris is and the outline is.
Okay. So as you're looking at all of this, you see that there are various footsteps inlaid in different things on, there's not a 1-to-1. It's very much the same thing that Henry saw as he just kind of took in the situation. One of the odd things that catches your eye is that one of the footsteps in a book that appears to be in quite a large library book looks bigger than the size of a normal person's foot.
Ooh.
And so that kind of stands out to you.
Sweet. Yeah, I'll open it up to the table. Is that cool? Is there...
You've got 2 more questions here. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see. There's a big footprint. Just before asking either of the 2 questions, the debris is mostly books.
Books, and there's a couple of chairs that have been, disassembled, or they look like they've been smashed or some kind of a thing.
Okay. Huh. I don't know, does anybody have any ideas of more questions?
Okay, so there's a big footprint on a book.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. What is the area that looks around the immediate area of the body? Like, does it look like they were thrown through something, or did they move and then stop? I guess.
Right. Like where all this would have come from.
I guess where would have been the initial hit, and like point A, point B. I punch you at point A. You land at point B. What does that area look like? Punch
Sure.
in general. It does.
So
Yeah.
is that you're going to be your second question? What does the area around where the bodies were landing look like?
Yeah. What I think we want to get at is, yeah, I think that makes sense. I'm wondering if everything started at this position, or if I can trace it back to where it did start.
So it's obvious. So built on what Henry learned, though you didn't have a conversation with him, it's obvious that where the origin of this fight really happened was kind of in the center, right in front of the information desk, and the two bodies were kind of thrown out. They're pushed out, or whatever the force of, and Henry investigated that portion of it, and so that's the meta of what you see, or what you know already. Where the footprint is, it's actually very close to the center of where this would be, that enlarged footprint. And as you're kind of looking, there isn't a lot of debris around where they landed, because they landed in some open spots. However, you do see a piece of clothing or something sort of, kind of off to the side of the person on the right hand side, where their body was landing. There's like a weird cloth, and it looks ripped, but it's not marked as a part of the investigation yet.
Ooh. I'm gonna take a picture of that.
Do you zoom in and take a picture of that?
Yes.
It's a piece of cloth, and it's sort of halfway exposed, and there's a patch there on it, but you realize you can't get in close enough with your, and get a good, a clear picture of what the patch is, but there is a patch on that piece of clothing.
Ooh, cool. And then the third question. And it needs to be specifically related to investigating this area, right?
Generally, yeah. I mean,
Okay.
you could apply it to, because that's the description of what you were going through was the investigation. Is
Yeah.
this the area in front of you? Yeah. It would need to be isolated into what you can see.
Cool. So I'm behind the library desk, right?
That's correct.
Is there anything? And this seems to be, or right in front of it is where the center point was, right?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if this counts. It's not really a question. Can I go over and look at the patch?
You
Or
can.
what does the patch say?
You could go and grab the patch, as in that would be your third point of the investigation, if you like.
Then I'll do that.
Okay, so you leave Charlie, and you kind of run over and snatch it real quick, right? And you're able to grab it and just kind of, take a picture with your camera, right? Just kind of do a quick snap, because you've got, the lens and everything, but you've got it set up. And when you look at it quickly, it's clear that the pictogram on it is sort of like a very cutesy sort of like emoji cat of some kind. And under it, you see the text that says "Alley Cats."
Cool. I put it back.
Well, as you were placing it down, an officer kind of comes up and says, "Hey, what are you doing here? You shouldn't be taking pictures at the crime scene. What are you doing, messing with evidence?"
Oh, was that evidence?
Who are you? What are you doing here?
No. I'm here with Miss Burke, who is here on official business. I'm one of her assistants.
Oh, well, is that Miss Burke over there with Detective Devereaux?
Yeah.
Well, can you get back over there, please? And who's that young? Excuse me, young woman. And he starts to walk over. I'm sorry, I didn't realize that you were blind. Who are you? What are you doing here? Why are you at the center of this crime scene? Excuse me?
Hi, I'm Miss Burke's assistant, and this is
Miss Burke has two assistants. This is. Can I?
Charlie,
No,
you're the intern.
I'm the intern.
Don't get airs above your station. She's the intern. I'm the assistant.
Excuse me, Miss Assistant. Can you grab her, and then
This is my assistant.
can we go and make sure that this is okay with Miss Devereaux and Catherine or Detective Devereaux and Miss Burke, and he begins to kind of escort you towards that direction, and we're going to cut to
To the worst.
I wanted to say Henry, but I'm sorry, Zip, Alex, Shallot came to mind. I apologize, because it was like that was the first thing that came to mind when I looked at your face.
Oh boy. By the reins and layers in the great papyrus, I will solve this case with the power of onion magic.
All right. So, what you're walking outside with the bodies, and you're beginning to load it into the van, right? And getting the gurney for the second, and you hear a little bit of conversation going on, and you hear the name, Alexis, Dirae, being thrown around a lot, and it's just there's conversation. Well, that's interesting, and there's some mumbling, and you hear her name Megan. And Megan Dirae as well, and there's this a little bit of a conversation going on, and they're like, the medical examiner like, okay, great, that's good. Why don't you? And here's the third gurney. Go get that last body in the back. Why don't you wait in the back there until they're ready, and then bring that body out, and then you can, you're good for the night. Henry, we really appreciate you kind of stepping up to help us.
Oh, no problem. Just all in a day's work. Right. Come on, Jim.
And you and Jim, God, I just need a drink. And he walks with you back into the, into the library, and you're kind of finding your way around the center of the library proper, as you walk up on the officer depositing Roslyn and Charlie, and Miss Burke, Sathana, is having a conversation with Catherine Devereaux, looking at the scene that's laid out in front of you. And this one is slightly different. The body here has crushed parts on their limbs, on the hands and or on the arms and the legs. The actual physical element of the body, like the physical component of the body, the arm itself, looks completely crushed. And so all of you get a really good view as it's kind of displayed. There's one on the upper arm on the right side. There's one on the lower arm on the left, on the left arm, right? And then both legs look to be kind of crushed in such a way, just at the, towards the, below the knees kind of a thing. And the way that the body is kind of laid, it's like leaned up against the wall a little bit, and kind of leaning off to the side, and it's just kind of hanging there, but it's like hanging down. And you see the CSI investigator. And so Catherine kind of looks at you and just, did you recognize this guy as well? To Sathana.
Do I?
I don't know. Do you?
Sure.
Is this somebody else that worked for your company?
Sure. Why not?
Okay.
Yeah, why not?
And he doesn't look like he's dressed like the other two, and did he work in the same department? Because he's not wearing the same gang-related garb that those two over there were wearing. Do you know anything about? And she's kind of looking at it, and she's kind of looking in and looking up at you, giving you that sort of like that engaged can you help me with anything here? As she's looking at the crime scene.
What do I know about this guy? Or do you
he's definitely an assistant in the actual office itself. He's in training, not unlike what Rosalind is supposed to be pretending to be, right? She's an assistant in the office kind of a thing for one of the executive assistants.
Okay, right, yeah. So he's probably one of my underlings, right?
Yes.
So I'm the head of the PAs. I'm the PA to talk to. He'd be one of my underlings. Yeah. He's actually one of my guys. He's an office assistant. He's training to be a PA.
Do you know why the three of these? I mean, this seems really unusual that your company is connected to a crime scene and they're kind of loitering around like this, but
I have absolutely no idea. I mean, I don't even know if these guys know each other. Well, I know the other two do, but I don't even know if I know him. Bert. Bert.
All right. Well, and she kind of looks over at the rest of the corner. There is some company paraphernalia for your company just kind of scattered around there, there's something off about the way that it's kind of scattered around, and you're kind of looking at it, and And Catherine's like, do you know any reason why the material for your company would be here? I mean, that was what originally, had us call you. And then we found out the identity here. And she kind of looks down. Is your company involved in what are you currently working on? And she kind of looks at you like with an inquisitive sort of.
I look around at the detritus from my company. What is here? Are we talking like bags, boxes, vials?
So there's company paraphernalia in respect to advertising, marketing material, and then there's a couple of boxes, but the placement of them seems off. There's something really off about the fact that they're here, number one, and number two, the placement of them.
Look, I can't divulge that information. You know I can't. You're gonna have to get a warrant.
I thought we were having a conversation here. I'm trying to help you protect the name of your company.
I mean, you have to understand there are 3 dead people. I don't know what's in those boxes. I'm just a PA. I don't know what drugs are here. I can't divulge information A, I don't have, and B, that may be under I mean, we have connections all over the place. I mean, I'll help you where I can, but I can't just give you that information right now.
She shakes her head. All right, well, I'm going to have to ask you to leave, Miss Devereaux. I'm sorry, Miss Burke, and you're going to need to take your assistants here, too.
Are we all together?
Yeah, at this point you are, as Henry is just kind of walking up behind with the last gurney.
Well, it might, and we heard all that?
Yes.
Well, it could be just to offer my opinion, Kath, it could be, do you know what the alley cats are? I mean, if
she turns and looks at you and she's like, have you been snooping?
I have never snooped a day in my life.
And she gives this exaggerated sigh. Roz, we will talk about this later.
Sure, call me.
Okay, detective. I'll see my way to try and getting all this information ready for you when you have all the proper documents, and I will give you the names of all the guys that I recognize or get mugshots off to recognize for you. I will do what I can, but you have to understand my company's position. So I would take my assistants here with me.
I just mean it might be like a frame job, Savannah.
Roslyn?
Yeah?
If you don't want to get fired, I suggest we go.
I don't want to go.
And then I will shoo my assistants out.
Okay.
I'll hook arms with my intern.
But I will give. I assume that Catherine will probably already have my card.
Yes, she got your information earlier. So.
Cool.
All right. So as the three of you are kind of making by Henry, you kind of step into the scene, and what you see again is something that really kind of strikes you as more than unusual than what you saw, across the room.
The first thing he would do is he would walk over and he would kind of kneel by the body, and he would look specifically at the bruises and the indentations of the tibia and the fibia and the forearms where it has been grabbed, to see whether or not do these things, because when you grab somebody really 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 hard, you'll leave kind of bruises in the shape of finger marks on them. Does this look hand related?
Do you want to investigate that?
Yes, that is what I'm doing.
Okay, so let's go ahead and investigate that.
And we're gonna do ebb and flow.
Okay.
And that's the only power I'm going to use. So let's see.
Okay. All right, so you got a mild success. Mm-hmm. So that's one question you get to ask. Oh, you know what? I'm sorry. That's screwing up the. Hold on a second, guys. Just give me 1 second. I screwed up the overlay. cut off Roslyn there. So I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, so you get to ask me one question, and then there's going to be a consequence that's going to come into play here. Is that the question that you want to have asked? Is there like indentions for appendages that like in grabbing this?
Yeah. Does this look like?
Oh yes.
A hand of some sort.
Oh yes. Okay. It looks like something grabbed, crushed, whatever's going on here.
Normal hand or big meaty palms?
Big meaty hand with big meaty fingers. Almost exaggerated.
Henry kind of like looks down, and then he like looks up. He has a serious face when he's investigating these things, and he's like, "Huh, that is a big hand. Those are tiny arms. Well, I kind of look around. Does this thing look like it's been thrown against the wall with any force?"
As you begin to kind of look in to kind of figure that out, the medical examiner comes up and is like, you know what? We don't have really time for this. I need you to just kind of. They've taken the pictures. And we need to get the body out of here. We can do this investigation later. Henry, I really appreciate you taking the time, but we've really got to go. And he's just trying to rush you, and so you can't. By the time he says that, Jim is already trying to move the body a little bit, and you can't get a real clear idea of what was going on there.
Henry kind of like stands up, and he kind of like puts a hand to his chin, and he like kind of scratches his scruff, and then he goes to help Jim, and he looks at the medical examiner, and he's like, "Isn't it very weird that these bruises on his arms and legs look as if they were made by a hand?"
Medical examiner kind of looks at you, looks at the thing, looks at you. Something crushed them. I don't know what it is. I've got to get it to the lab to figure it out. Until that happens, I really can't. And I'm not sure what year is Henry as a medical or student?
Almost done. Like he's just about to graduate and go into being an intern.
Okay, so I don't know how much has changed at the university since the last time I was there, but they don't. I don't know why you're inferring all of this, Henry. Just take care of the body, and we'll get it back. If you're really curious, you can stop by my office tomorrow, and I'll share you some of the details that I can figure out about this. But right now, I just need to get this out of here because they need to continue the investigation.
Oh, of course. I'm so sorry. Too many crime TV shows, and whatnot. All right, Jim. Let's go throw this in the back of the wagon and get on the road again. Yeah, come on.
The kid's right, though. I mean, if they're still here, I'll point it out. He's right. I mean, he said the thing about big hands.
Roslyn, I swear, Catherine says.
Listen,
and she begins to kind of push you. I realize that you've got a knack for getting into trouble, but this is not the kind of trouble right now.
Just saying, he had a good idea.
Just good idea or not, Roz, I just need you. I need you to go right now. You're distracting.
I am distracting? That's rude. Or a compliment. I haven't decided which way I'm going to take that yet.
And as you say rude or compliment, you see a little bit of a smile creep across her face. Come on, Roz. I need you to take your young intern here, and I need you to go.
Yeah, we're going. That's what we're all moving in this direction right now.
Okay, and so you get escorted outside, or you follow Miss Burke outside with Charlie, as Henry is beginning to kind of move the body with Jim, get it onto the gurney. As the three of you step outside, the scene has changed a little bit. There's a little bit more activity, and there's a little bit more press, sort of taking pictures and doing interviews. And heading, just kind of right outside the police line and just, doing their thing. What are the three of you doing now?
Again, would I hear anybody I recognize this time?
You recognize reporters that you've heard on the television or the radio. You do not recognize anybody that might
So there's no
recognize you at this point.
police chief, no police commissioner.
No. However, being a part of the family, being a part of the Cox family that you are, you do know that being seen on camera probably wouldn't be a good idea because you would be recognized since your father is running for mayor.
We are in sync, girl. Let's get out of here.
I would immediately walk down the stairs of the library and shoot off to the side, way faster than a blind person necessarily should.
What is
Yeah,
Roslyn? What is Roslyn and Savannah doing?
Roslyn would go with Charlie and put her head down and let her hair fall on her face and just walk with her. Yeah.
So 2 different directions?
No, I'm going with her.
Okay, you're going with her. What about Savannah?
My God. I'm probably gonna shout after Rosalind's can you at least email me your photos?
Yeah.
Great. I'll not see you in the office tomorrow, and I'm gonna.
It's been a pleasure working for you, Miss Burke. We should do this more often. A very mutually beneficial situation.
Okay.
So I kind of walk away. It's shoot me now. I'm going to the bar.
All right. So you head off in the other direction as Roslyn and Charlie are moving towards moving towards the other side, or kind of avoiding the cameras. So Savannah, as you're kind of walking through, you hear a bit of the conversation as you're the news reporters as they're kind of reporting the news, and what you hear is the following. Sorry, give me just a second. So you hear that they're talking about the Dirae sisters, the very famous Dirae sisters, who are responsible for the beverage company, the beverage company of their family, right? And then they talk about the 3 sisters, and how it's very surprising that on the same night that Megan Dirae has disappeared, at the local club Xanadu, her sister has been involved in some chaotic affair of what appears to be a kidnapping, and they're talking about Alexis Dirae being kidnapped from the scene, or that's what appears to be the indications, and the scuttlebutt is, or the news from the anonymous sources, kind of a thing. And as you're stepping through and kind of walking away from this, and you hear, and everybody has to wonder tonight how Phoebe Dirae is handling this, as her 2 younger sisters have suddenly been, have suddenly gone, missing. And then you kind of step away, and you're thinking, well, I need a drink after this, and you just step out of the scene from there.
So there's a Megan, an Alexis, and a Phoebe. Megan is missing from a club. Alexis is possibly missing from the scene, and Phoebe is a sole survivor.
Yeah, Phoebe is the one that's still in the or that is no word is about what's going on with Phoebe, or what her state of what her response is to the disappearance of her 2 sisters.
Okay.
And they were saying that somebody was bundled out of here earlier.
That is correct.
Yeah.
Cool.
And so as Charlie and Roslyn are making their way the opposite direction, trying to avoid the 2 or the news cameras and all the reporters and everything. Charlie, Roslyn, something catches your eye just across the street, sort of in the same place where you found Charlie. As you can see, there appears to be somebody kind of watching the crowd and kind of taking in the situation. Yeah. It's a rather young individual, dressed in what appears to be, street clothes, and wearing a leather jacket. And you see a patch on there that vaguely looks, like it, but you can't really tell because you can't get close. Like the patch that you got a picture of from, while inside the library. And you're kind of you kind of look over and you start to pay attention to it. And immediately as the person notices that you're looking at them, he takes off and runs the opposite direction.
I want to follow him.
Okay. So you grab Charlie and take her with you, or be like us? What happens there? How does that?
Oh, I don't want to. I want to say I was gonna ask her to go. We could go, like, get a drink, but how fast do you move?
He's
Character asking Charlie.
Well, can't hear you.
You're muted, Sam.
How fast do I move?
Yeah. Have I noticed that she moves faster than normal,
I'd be
or
like,
what people would expect?
well, I'm blind. I mean, I can only move so fast.
All right. I know I haven't known you for very long, but do you trust me?
Do I trust the woman who asked me to agree with everything she says and then lie about who I am?
It's been fun, though.
If this is what you call fun, then yes.
Okay. I take her hand and I start going after the guy.
I would definitely, like, follow her, but, like, you know, I'm blind, so I'm like, you know, I don't, if there's a curb, I'm gonna, like, trip over it or something, or
Is that you pretending to be
as blind as possible? Yeah.
okay? All right, so both of you, you know, begin to move off after him, and he's going between a couple of buildings down an alleyway, and he took off not at a very fast clip. I mean, it was just kind of like, oh, I better, and he just kind of, you know, backs away and then starts to slowly walk away from you and head down the alley. But after, you know, a couple of seconds, he begins to kind of fade into the darkness that is the alleyway, you know, sort of behind you, or, you know, in front of you. So do you pick up your pace? How do you pursue this?
Make a cat sound.
You make a cat sound. All right.
Yeah,
All
I
right.
don't know
So for inquiring minds, would you please make a cat sound that you would make in this particular case? I think the rest of the cast would like to know what sound it is that you're going to make.
It's like maybe it'd like be an EDM cat sound.
What's the freaking Mel Brooks cat sound that he makes in all his movies?
There you go.
But I say, like, oi first, like, I'm obviously trying to get his attention,
Right.
and then I do that because I'm like, yeah, I figured this out. I know gangs, I know their stuff. I think Bad Idea should be my new nickname. Bad Idea.
Okay, so as you know, you make that sound, you hear, you know, a little bit of a scuffle and stop. And just for a second, you see his outline, and then he books it. And you hear him kind of running down the street, and this is what Charlie sees. You see him running down the alleyway, and he is clearly, you know, heading for a car.
Can I? Oh, are you still holding on to me?
Yeah, I've got I'm not, like, holding it with any force, just, like, I thought I had to guide you, so I was.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, what to do?
Yeah, what do you want to do? I think I might have an idea, too.
I'd sit, like, I'd be like, oh, I need to catch my breath for a second, and you should go on without me.
Okay, I'll be right back, though.
Okay. And then, as soon as she, like, runs off, I'm gonna, you know,
Okay.
try to, like, is there a building with, like, a fire escape near?
Absolutely. So let's resolve what happens for Roslyn real quick, and then we're gonna see Charlie in action, I think. Okay, so Roslyn, you're kind of like, all right, I'll be right back, and you take off, right? And so you run down the dark alley, and it's lit, you know, with really bad lighting coming from, you know, horribly lit or horribly repaired, lights on the backs of buildings and alleys. There's one light here, and it's just sort of shining off in a direction, and it's really dim, but there's enough light for you to be able to see that the guy is running for a car. And there's a little bit of a glow from the neon coming from the at the other side, because you're downtown, and this is the downtown district. So, there is a lot of ambient light coming from the buildings and the signs, but in the alleys it can get a little dark. But you do see him running towards a car, parked 3/4 of the way down the alley.
Okay.
And so you're just pursuing him?
Yeah, I might try. I don't know if this would apply.
Go ahead. Tell me what you're doing.
Right. So I want to try to. I could try so many things. How close is he to the car? Is he like right on it? Are there other entrances to this alley in his way?
So there are a couple of essentially parking lots that just kind of branch off to it, and there are back doors to various parts of the building. But no, there is no like branching off, right? It's just a long alleyway, and you were just past the mouth of the alleyway where you left Charlie, and he's about 50 halfway through there, the alley, and the car is parked close to the other side, so you can see the car outlined in sort of the glow and the traffic that's happening at the other side. But he's moving, really, really fast, to get to the other side of this alley.
Okay. I want to try and use barrier and get something in his way.
Okay, so what do you mean by that? Describe what that's going to look like, or what that effect is going to happen, and then we'll talk about the kind of role that's going to be.
So, it's a form of protection, basically, that Roz can grant herself or others, but I'm thinking of using it in this way to put something in his way.
Okay.
Whether like someone coming out of like one of the doors or something like that, just being able to put something in his way without having to be ahead of him. So
okay.
I don't know if that's like
So you can definitely try to do that. Absolutely. What is the effect? I mean, you can create this barrier. Is it sort of this, you realize it and then it comes to pass, or is there more of is there like a descriptive effect that goes along with it? Is it something that comes out of your fingers? Do you a Professor Xavier and just kind of grab your mind, and then it just appears from there, that kind of a thing?
I mean, I think it's like she has to choose to halt. She has to it's more like a willing it to happen.
All right, so let's go ahead and figure out what move makes sense for this.
I feel like maybe change the game.
Okay, that works.
Yeah.
And you've got a power tag that definitely applies, which is the barrier. Mm-hmm. Is there any other power tags that apply in this particular case?
Reverse. I don't know if this is another one from that same thing. Reverse effects. Maybe.
Yes, because you're doing the exact opposite of what you would typically use for the barrier. Right. So I think that definitely applies.
Yeah.
You've got an opportunity for one more power tag.
Okay. Maybe summon knights or preternatural luck, because if the barrier can be just kind of an invisible force, or it could be something literal that I am able to bring into this space.
Okay, so I think preternatural luck definitely applies.
And I think because I'm like using all of these, I definitely think I would also have to I think the way that it comes out, so the force is invisible, but I am super lit up, like I glow
as a beacon.
Yep.
And so the weakness tags, so using this type of ability, attracts that attention. So it does create it makes you very visible. So, okay.
Yeah, so she literally glows.
Okay. All right. So Let's add the weakness tag. So that's 3 minus 1.
2.
And then let's see what happens when you change the game.
Okay. Great success.
Wow. Okay. So, you get to do 2 things. You get to do 2 things in this from that list. So let me make sure that it's visible for everybody to see at the great success. So at the top, so you get 2 things to do from that based on your power tags. What 2 things? How do you want to affect the situation? So the first thing is it's going to be whatever the actual description or the status or whatever it is, because the barrier is going to come into existence.
Mm-hmm.
What is the tangible effect of that? Does it stop him? Does it slow him down? What's going on?
Yeah, I feel like the status blocked.
Okay. So blocked implies a significant amount of right. So we can say that it's unless you want to spend, both of your essentially your juices, your power tags, and we'll get into the details of what juices later. But just for to keep the action going, you can spend both of them and get a level 2 status of blocked, or a level 1. You can spend one of them and get a level 1 status of hindered.
Ooh. Yeah, let's just do hindered.
Okay. Okay, so he's got hindered, status 1.
Yeah.
And so he's having trouble getting through because he's trying to move through that barrier, but he's having trouble.
Yeah. Ooh. There's so many fun things.
There are plenty of awesome things that you can do in this situation.
It says hide the effect.
Are you going to hide the beacon effect?
Can I make it just very brief?
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he starts to kind of you do this, and like that barrier kind of comes in, and he's starting to he hits it, and he starts to slow down. He's looking around as he's moving slowly through it. Right. It's almost like a molasses kind of a second, allowing you to kind of move forward and close the distance on him. Yeah. And so we're going to cut from you to Charlie.
Get him, girl.
She's running down that. What is Charlie doing?
So there's a fire escape, right?
Okay.
Well, I was.
Yes. There is a fire. There is a fire escape.
Okay. Is there like anything? Is it like one I can easily reach, or is it like something I'm gonna have to jump up onto?
Narratively, I even if it was like 10 feet up, I think that given her power set, her theme books, she can totally just grab for it and make it up to the fire escape.
Okay. Well, I'd want to like jump on if there's like a trash can dumpster, like jump on that and then jump on the fire escapes and get up to the top of one of the buildings and like run down.
Okay, so this is a 2-story building that you're jumping onto, right?
Yeah.
It's next to some of the high rises, but this is one of the lower, really short ones. It's an older building in the district, and so you're able to kind of jump up and get the vantage point of being on the roof from the fire escape. As you get to the top, you notice that Roz has stopped, or Roslyn has stopped for a second, and glows, like there's this brief glow. And immediately you're just like...
Well, I can't see the glow.
You can, though, because it's a vibration.
Okay.
It's like there's this vibration that just sort of comes off of her. Like, the tangible visual effect is that it's a glow. But you can see that there is some sort of, like, energy change going on. And, like, she vibrates for just a second. But then you see that the guy, as he's running, you through the way that you perceive the world... You see that there's something, like he's hit something and he's starting to slow down, and he's trying to figure it out, and he's struggling. So giving you an opportunity to move forward, kind of flank him and get in front of him, or whatever you want to do. Yeah. He's not really close to his car yet. He's not super close to his car yet.
Okay. Then I would run across the buildings and get on the other side of him and like grab him.
Okay, so how are you going to grab him? Are you going to jump down and just...
I would like not let Rosalind see that I jumped down, because I jumped down like on the back side of one of the buildings and like, dart over. Or I'd walk over. I wouldn't run. I'd walk over with my seeing eye stick and just like hit his foot and like grab him.
Okay, so let me make sure I understand this. You're gonna run along the wall, essentially the edge of the roof.
Yeah.
And you're going to come down the other side. So there's, as I described, there's like little parking lot inlets.
Yeah.
And you're going to come down that side in some way, and then just kind of step out in front of him and trip him with your stick.
No, like just walking casually, like my stick would hit his foot and then I'd grab him. Like, I'm not trying to trip him. It would just be like, oh, I ran into something. What is it?
Okay, so the first thing that's got to happen here is you've got to basically drop from the second story roof to that.
Yes.
What kind of a move do you think that is? Is that sneaking around? Is that taking a risk? So taking a risk is described as when you perform a daring, risky, or outright stupid feat.
Well, I'd probably go down like a drain pipe. So.
But even then, you're just you're having to come onto something and move down very quickly to get in front.
I feel like I'd be sneaking around versus like taking a risk.
Okay. So why don't you go ahead and let's start with you rolling sneaking around.
Okay.
What power tags apply here?
Outgoing agility.
Okay.
I know these streets.
Okay, sure.
Maybe sense is the finest detail, like in the sense of like if I would know exactly where to put my hands and feet on the way down so that I wouldn't like go on a weak area of the building or something, like if I was climbing down a drain pipe.
Okay. All right, that seems to apply. But I am going to invoke your weakness tag, which is ignores danger. Mm-hmm. So you're going to roll with a power tag of 2 instead of 3.
Okay.
So go ahead and roll your sneaking around with a 2.
Oh, I'm not very sneaky.
Okay.
Oh, I'm very loud.
Okay, so this allows me to do what's called a hard move against you. So the GM gets very, very little. I get intrusions. I get the ability to kind of affect the situation, and much like the same we played in Blades, I don't roll anything. I just kind of affect. I do things that affect you or what's going on with you. In this particular case, a hard move becomes a little bit more interesting because it means I can inflict things like a status on you, like something that hurts you, or gets thrown and impedes your way. No, I don't mean MC Speedy. I don't like being called an MC.
But you're telling a story.
I am telling a story, but that means I'm a storyteller, right? I'm a narrator. Okay, so MC moves. Let me see what we have here. So the the moves that I get is complicate things big time, deny them something that they want, make something horrible happen, turn their move against them, give a status, reduce a status, burn a tag, or force them to choose. Okay. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna say that as you're kind of shimmying down that pipe, it starts to come off, right? It starts to kind of detach, right? You misjudged it, right? And it's kind of beginning to kind of move. And so instead of you being able to kind of shimmy down, you're now having to kind of recover and just drop yourself. And for that moment, you're kind of dropping and you're kind of stunned for a second. It's not going to give you a status tag of any kind, but it's definitely not going to give you the advantage that you were looking for. Okay. So the guy is still making his way through the barrier. And so we're going to cut back to Roslyn. As this guy is just his hindered state is he's continued to try to move through, but you can feel that from the way that you set up the barrier that he's almost to the other side and he's gonna get his freedom back. He's gonna continue to run. What do you want to do now?
Do I think I can overtake him, like just swoop in front of him?
Can you wait a minute? Say that again.
Is it possible for him that since he's been hindered, can I get in front of him before he's all the way through?
Yes. If you want to make a move that kind of describes that, and I think there's a couple of power tags based on what I know about your character that might work, right? So it all really depends on the move and how you describe the move that you want to do, right? Mm-hmm. Is it a change the game? Let's see.
Did I see Charlie fall? by the way.
No, you might have heard something. You might have heard the drain pipe kind of bending, and you hear this like sort of, you know, and it's like crashing down, but you don't actually see her because it just sort of hides.
Is she behind? Did it come from behind me or ahead of me?
Ahead of you.
Oh, cool. Interesting. Oh, in that case, I would want to try to do something like watch out, or like try to I don't know if that would be convincing or changing the game, but make him think that there is something dangerous ahead of him to get him to slow down even more.
To get him to really? Okay.
Yeah. Like if I heard something like crashing, I can like.
I mean, I'm more dangerous than the drain pipes.
Totally.
So that sounds like. So you, instead of trying to get in front of him, you want to yell at him to distract him even more.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So go ahead and roll that. And what power tags do you think apply to that change the game?
Persuasive aura.
Okay.
And I don't know what else. Yeah, I don't think it's. I mean, it would be a different kind of barrier, but You've already
got a barrier going on,
yeah.
Right?
So it might just be persuasive aura.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Try that.
So, every time you try to do something, you're intentionally just kind of, you're not trying to hide it. Does that make you a beacon?
Well.
Or is it only when you really like have the exaggerated power? Does it make?
I think so. I think the persuasive stuff is more subtle. And,
okay.
Yeah, because I think the beacon stuff comes with the like very obvious ones.
Okay, then go ahead and just roll it.
Okay.
No weakness tag applied.
Okay. 7.
Excellent. So, again, it's a mild success. There's going to be a little bit of a change to the effect. But what kind of a status, or what do you want to do from that list?
Yes. It says create or summon new objects or beings with one tag of your choice. I don't know what that means. Or
you could make, so for example, you can make like a piece of debris, like a rock or something.
That's what I was thinking,
and trip him up for just a second.
Exactly. That's exactly what I want to do.
Okay, so you say
like calling out to him and him not seeing it.
Right. So you call out him and he kind of looks back and he misses the fact that there's like a stone right on the ground, and he kind of trips and sort of stumbles a little more, and it slows him down even more. And so he's temporarily just immobile because he's just kind of like really just lost his balance, thus allowing you to either kind of try to catch up or do something else. Do you want to?
I just want to catch up to him.
All right, so you get pretty close to him at this point. You're within 10 feet of him, and he's just kind of stumbling, kind of gaining his feet and beginning to move forward.
Yeah.
And we're going to cut back to Charlie, who is like momentarily stunned and kind of standing up, and you can feel the situation that's just around the corner from you. Like you can sense the vibrations of the scene as it stands. So this guy is very close to his car, though. Roz is close. You're close, but he's going to get to his car pretty quickly.
So if I were to casually walk to his car, would I not make it in time?
Oh, you would, but he could probably get there and get into his car by the time you casually.
Oh, I
walk.
meant before.
Before,
so
not really.
I ran to his car.
You could do that, or you could throw something at him, or
I take off one of my heels and I throw it at his head.
All right. So from a move perspective, that sounds to me like a hit him with all you got, or hit him with all you've got.
Yeah.
Which is you're throwing balls to the wall, and you're gonna knock him out, or you're gonna try to do something to him.
Okay.
All right. So what applies?
Perfect short range target.
Okay.
My outgoing agility, and probably either my martial arts or sensing the finest detail, because martial arts, because I would be good at, I don't know, I'd probably thrown something.
Okay.
Or sensing the finest detail, I can tell exactly where he is and how to hit him in the head.
Okay. I think perfect short range really kind of covers that. I don't think since, because he's moving, I don't think that third power tag really applies. So I think it really is only the 2.
Okay. That's fine.
But go ahead and just roll that.
Okay. Hit him with all you got.
You can do it.
Oh.
Oh.
No. My shoe. I'm not rolling well right now.
Yeah, RNG is not your friend right now. Okay. So, for everybody who can't see it, because we have to fix the overlays to be able to do this correctly. She got a 6, so she missed, which means, again, she misses her target with her shoe as it goes flying by.
It hits him with a blind thing, like.
Does his status of
hindered
help her?
Actually, it would. And let me look at yes, it would.
So would it be a 7 then? And then the 7 would mean.
Yeah. So let me
I've
look.
been trying to set you up, girl.
You're absolutely right. The hindered status would help. So you're going to choose one of the following. You hit him with all you got. It hits him where you targeted him. You can either choose to take cover or a superior position. You can hit them with a +1 tier status. So basically, when it hits him, it's going to cause an additional status effect to him. And it would
Can I choose the status?
You can choose the status, and we can talk about that. And then it'll be enhanced by +1 tier. You can introduce collateral damage in some way. You can hold the target's attention, or you can take an upper hand, which will give you which will give you 1 juice, which will apply to your next roll.
I want to get.
You only get 1 of those though, just as an FYI.
I know. I want to get in front of his car so he can't get to his car.
So you want to take a superior position.
Yeah, I want to sit on the hood of his car.
All right. So describe to us what that looks like.
I guess so. I'd take off my heel, and it would hit him in the head. And I'm guessing Roslyn would probably be like, "What?" and like look, what?
Shit.
And like in that time, I'd be just like chilling on the hood of his car.
All right, and so he just kind of he comes out of the hindered barrier, right? And so his hindered status disappears. But as he's kind of running to it, he kind of steps up and he's like, "What the hell?" And he begins to reach for something into his jacket.
He has a gun. I'm gonna die. It's happening.
So both of you are in this situation. Yeah, one of you can take a move. It's really up to you, whoever wants to take the move here.
Can I use am I close enough to him? Am I like pretty close to him now?
Right.
He's like at the car. Can I take my CNI stick and smack him? Like smack his, as he's like going for like his hand in his pocket, smack his hand?
Sure.
What would that be?
Going toe to toe, I think seems to be, or maybe facing the danger. No, you're not avoiding a hit.
Okay. Then I think
it's going toe to toe.
And then I think the same things would apply. Perfect short range target and outgun agility.
Okay, sounds great.
And maybe even like fear is a weapon, because it's why is this like short blonde girl who seems to be blind sitting on the hood of his car?
So you're intimidating him.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, so all right, let's apply that too.
So 3.
Trying to think if there's any one of your tags your weakness tags that would apply. No, just go ahead and roll it.
Okay.
Roll strong, roll true.
Well.
Let's see how you roll this time.
Come on. Ooh!
Ooh!
All right. So, mild success. You get to choose one of those. You can hit his hand and force him to react to it. You can inflict some damage, or you can prevent him. You can you can gain the upper hand, essentially, is what that to reach your goal, I think, is going to take example here. Or you can block him from doing that, or you can inflict pain on him and he's still going to pull it out. Like, pull out whatever he's grabbing for.
Oh, but what...
Phrasing.
I probably would want to manage to reach my goal, like, of him not pulling out whatever he's pulling out.
Well, so that would be the block, dodge, or counter the attempt, right?
Yeah.
So with that...
definitely block him from...
He goes, and he's reaching back, and you whack him like that with your stick, and he just what the hell? And he kind of he looks at you, and he's completely ignoring the fact that Roslyn is right behind him, giving you the opportunity to kind of take advantage of the situation.
I mean, we're just trying to talk to this poor dude. I mean, that's what I would probably say. We're just trying to talk to you, man. And I'll take out the, can I see his patch now?
You can definitely see his patch because of the way the light is. It definitely is the icon, or the iconography of the cat, and it definitely says Alley Cats on it.
I'll pull out the preview on my camera and kind of like from behind him, like,
what's going on? What? How, lady, and he starts to push you back. Leave me alone. And he starts to reach again for his.
Stop reaching for your crap. I'm going to try and. I just want to convince this dude to stop freaking out and stand still and talk to us, because we were in the library and I'm trying to show him I know what's up. Just chill out.
Well, it sounds like Font of Inspiration and Persuasive Aura are going to run into that convince if that's what you're going to do.
Yeah, that's...
Okay.
And if that doesn't work, I can always knock him to the ground.
All right.
we are bad. Okay, convince? Yeah.
Yep.
1, 2, okay. 8.
All right. So with that, you get to...
Shit.
You can give him a status tag that will make him more susceptible to this situation, amiable to you, or you can get some information from him, but he's not going to give you everything, because he's like, well, I don't know what do you mean? What huh? And he pulls his hand from behind, in a non-threatening manner. He just he kind of disengages from that action and just, what do you mean? What's that on your camera? And he looks at it. Why is it? Where did you get that picture? What's going on here?
Well, you were watching the library, weren't you?
Yeah, some of my friends were in there.
Oh, sorry about that then. And I'll flip to one of the pictures of one of the bodies.
Oh man, is that Reggie? What did they get into?
It might be.
And he just kind of, man, they weren't supposed to be running with the cats tonight. And he rips off his patch and he throws it on the ground. Man, I can't do what they do anymore. I can't. And he starts to walk away.
Okay. Do you want to just... I'm also distracted by Charlie sitting on his car.
Right.
He's walking away from his car.
No, he's walking to his car, and he throws this away, and he's no longer threatened. He's no longer feeling threatened to the situation. Yeah. You guys still have you can still bug him for information. Yeah. He's just not. He's clearly frustrated with what he saw, and he's beginning to disengage from the two of you and just try to get away.
Why don't you let us buy you a drink? We know some people who may know a little bit more about what's going on with your friends. We could all get together.
I know what's going on with my friends.
What's going on with your friends?
And he kind of looks at you. Why do you care?
Curiosity killed the cat.
Well done. You can make good money serving as muscle for various, various interested parties. The cats specialize in finesse versus any kind of, larceny, breaking and entering. We can get into places typically, but I've only been on one or two jobs, and I don't need that kind of stress. I don't need that. Reggie and it looks like that's Carl. Reggie and Carl. Yeah, that's just.
Do you know what job they were on or who they were?
No, but I heard that this. I saw a report and I came down. There was some guy, from one of the. And he gets all agitated and he sighs. All right, listen, I'm going to tell you this and I got to go.
Okay.
That somebody from the Walker Foundation had come to the Alley Cats looking for some muscle to be able to kind of to get into the library. When I heard that there was some commotion at the library, I figured I'd come down and figure it out. I didn't realize that they'd get caught or get hurt, let alone end up dead. Reggie and Carl used to come to my house all the time. They're the ones who got me into the cats. I can't do this. And he kind of walks to his car, starts to unlock his car. Are you gonna get off my hood? And looking over at Charlie.
I would slide down like in between him and his car door.
Okay. And so he kind of looks at you strangely because you don't move like somebody who is has their sight impaired.
Yeah.
And he closes the door and starts the car and rolls down the window. I wouldn't mess with anybody that the cats are working with. Leave this alone, lady. This is bad. And he starts to drive off.
So, Charlie, pretty good for an intern.
I'm a very quick learner.
Let's call Miss Burke and let's get a drink.
Sounds good, except I'm 18, but
It's fine. I know where we all like to hang out. It'll be fine.
Cool.
And we're going to cut to the two of you kind of wandering off back to Henry, coming out of the situation. You're coming out of it with depositing the second body, that he and Jim were doing. Jim kind of looks at him and is like, man, I need a drink. Do you want to go down to there's a little place right on in the corner?
No. Alcohol doesn't really sit well with me. I'm gonna stick around to make sure that the medical examiner doesn't require any more of my services. But if you wanna take the John Doe's back to the hospital, and he pulls out
the ambulance workers. The ambulance workers have that. I'm just gonna go grab a drink. They let us go.
Okay.
I think the medical examiner's over there. You have a good night, Henry.
Yeah. Jim, here, and he pulls out a 20 and he hands it to him. And he's like, here, just buy a drink for me and then drink it.
You're not a bad guy there, Henry.
You're not a bad guy yourself, Jim.
And he kind of pockets it and just begins to walk away.
After he walks away, he kind of like his cheery demeanor kind of like goes back to normal, and he starts looking around. He puts on his hoodie that he came in with the ambulance because it's cold in a hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of starts looking around at the exterior of the library, and then he looks at where the window is clearly shattered, and then he starts thinking maybe there's something down around the side, maybe towards the back of the exterior of the library. So he kind of gets a feel for the crowd and just kind of slips right through it and starts heading towards the alley that leads to the side of this library.
Okay. And so as you're kind of slipping through, you hear the same bits of information that Seth Anna heard about Alexis and Megan Dirae. That it was Alexis Dirae who was, involved in the situation at the library, and the strange affair of the fact that it was Megan Dirae was recently disappeared on the same night from the the club known as Xanadu, a downtown night hotspot. And so you're kind of making your way through, and you hold on. I hear we've got breaking news. It appears that Phoebe Dirae has also vanished. She was at a gathering, in the Olympus district. We're hearing that she was at a party. Okay. And, the details are just coming in. So just to update everyone, breaking news. The Dirae sisters, all of them seemed to have vanished on the same night. I don't know, Bob. That just seems really strange, and the conversation begins to go on as the person on the scene, the reporter on the scene, begins to have that conversation with what's going on behind, and you make your way through the crowd and just kind of slip around the side of the building. And real quick, I just want to acknowledge that Unmade raid. Thanks, guys. Love to have you here. And so you're walking around the side of the building. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for anything that looks like it's knocked over by something big and clumsy. Because I don't think this beast or this thing that I'm hunting is graceful in any ways. Looking at the damage that it has done to the library, the two massive impacts that he assumes the creature or person has made to the two bodies, and the ability to crush the appendages of another one that he just loaded up. He's looking for something that has big meaty hands. He noticed the shoe prints, but he didn't really get a scope of how big they were compared to him. Mm-hmm. So he's looking for maybe something with big hands but small feet or something, but he's looking for something big.
Right. So as you're kind of looking, and you just the alleyway around, or the around the building of the library, there's mostly a bunch of there is it's mostly clean. There are steps kind of around. The street kind of makes its way around, but there's no indication of something that's off. There's no evidence that there's something weird or unusual going on there. But as you're kind of making your way around, you notice that across the street there is a van that appears to have, like when you get to the backside of the library, there's a van that appears to have a huge dent in it, right into the side of the it's this decrepit old van. It looks sort of abandoned, which seems unusual as well for the downtown district, because there's typically not things that are abandoned like that, at least not in this part of the town. But there's this abandoned van, and there's this imprint into the side of the van, this big dent where there's this big sort of branching out or blossoming out like dent as it inserted, but you can see the knuckle print in the side of this van, and it is you estimate about the same size as what you saw when you were looking at the third body.
All right. He looks at the van. Is there anything? Are there any logos or words on this van?
No, it just looks like it's a beater van that is in disrepair. It's got a terrible paint job, but it's just kind of parked there, almost looking abandoned, but you're not quite sure what's going on.
Henry would climb on top of the van.
Okay.
And he cut for a better view, and he would start looking for any more things that would look out of the ordinary, like another knuckle print, or maybe somewhere where something has obviously been grabbed by a big meaty palm.
Okay. So as you're doing this investigation, go ahead and let's roll it. What do you think applies here in respect to your power tags?
I'm gonna have to go with the ebb and flow and evasive footwork. Evasive footwork to get on top of the van,
Sure.
and ebb and flow to use my my keen sense for detail.
Okay. So as so roll your power, or roll your investigate. And let's see where that ends up. Okay, so power tag of 2. So you get to answer 2 questions, or you get to ask 2 questions about the situation. The first one sounded like you were looking for more evidence of that big, that big hand or some other big appendage being used. As you're kind of stepping up and you're kind of looking around, you look down on from the top of the van. You can see that there is a set of footprints, actually big footprints, that would match the size of the appendage, and they look like they're positioned in a way where they're like one foot is in front of the other, as if there's like their body positioning to throw a punch. And you get this from all of your training and your understanding of how you would position your body in order to throw the most effective punch possible, and that punch did exactly that into that van. But you can see that the size of these feet and the print matches exactly about the size that you would estimate that this thing would have to be to have hands this size as well, right?
All right. So my second question is there anything indicating in a direction of where it was heading?
No, there is no indication of where it's heading. However, you do see footprints kind of walking away that are much smaller, sort of towards the center of the downtown district, basically walking, like north from you. But they stand out as obvious for some reason because it's a particular type of shoe print. It's like it's like as if you're looking at a boot print or a Nike shoe of some kind where they've got the Nike design. It's a very particular high brand of sneakers.
He kind of looks at the big footprint and then looks at the small footprint, and then he kind of takes off his size 10.5 shoe and he kind of drops it as accurately as he can in the middle of the big footprint to get a scope of how big that foot is.
So you're saying your foot is about a size 10, right?
It's 10.5, yeah.
This is about a size 30.
Size 30. Okay, this is huge. Okay.
So this thing is at least 12 feet to 15 feet tall.
He immediately pulls out his cell phone and he calls 911.
911, what's your emergency?
Yes, I was just a medical consultant over at the library investigation, and I might have found another location of interest. I would just wanted to report that, and I kind of give her the address of the local.
That's
buildings.
right behind the library. There was an incident down there tonight with the main branch of the library. Is that correct?
Yes. This seems to be a continuation of that incident. I just wanted to bring it to the PD's attention.
Okay, great. Well then, we'll be sending a squad car over, and I believe Detective Devereaux is on that case. She'll be interested as well. Please go ahead and wait there.
Oh, most certainly. Thank you.
Click. And so it's as you hang up that you notice that there's somebody watching you from a distance on top of a building about 3 stories up.
His cheery nature goes back to being kind of serious, and he looks up and he kind of gives a snort kind of deal, and he notices that he's being watched, and his first reaction is to wave at the individual, greeting them.
the person's kind of looking at you, realizes that they were caught, and they too step back from the edge of the building, and they're gone.
He immediately takes out after the assailant, I guess.
Okay. And so how do you try to track this particular individual?
Well, he notices that looking for a what am I thinking of? Fire escape would probably take a long time. He decides to access a ability that he has, and he's going to create a wall of vines that scale the building that he can use as a quick ladder.
Okay.
He's going to use his expressions theme book and use the obstacles power tag.
Okay. So shit, I shouldn't do that. Sorry, guys. Oh god. So as that's happening, as you decide to do that, what move is that? Is that
I feel like that's a change of the game because he's accessing something out of like
okay.
the aether.
Okay.
You know.
All right. So go ahead and make that roll, and those power tags sound like they definitely apply. Do any of your weaknesses tags apply?
Yes, seasonal atrophy.
Sure.
It is not autumn,
right,
where this power would be the strongest. But it is also not spring, where the power would be the weakest.
Okay. So in this particular case, since it's what it's
Summer.
called, it's waxing, I guess, is that it's getting stronger towards. I don't think that power tag applies. I think as you get into fall, or as you get past fall towards spring, that's when the kind of a thing would apply. Because it's sort of like half of the year you're getting stronger and then you're strong, so it doesn't apply, and then half of the year you're getting weaker, and so that's when it does apply. So like in winter and spring, that's when I think it most applies in that particular case. And so that's the way that's the table ruling that I want to make on that, and we can talk about that more off screen. But so I don't think that tag necessarily applies right now.
All right. So the power tags, can you mix and match from theme books?
Yes, you can. Absolutely.
Evasive footwork and obstacles. This is something that he's created. He's going to create the obstacle in a way that he can easily traverse the wall.
Okay, that sounds great. All right, and so go ahead and roll that.
Okay.
And that is a 7. So you change the game, so you get the vines, and okay. So the vines begin to grow, and you gain 2 tags out of that, right? You gain take 2 juices, which are basically reflect in that list. There is going to be a consequence to this that's going to come into play, or there is going to be a situation that doesn't make it a complete success, but you get 2 of those elements that are listed there. So what do you want to bring into the game there?
Let's see. Inflict a status, create or summon objects to. Okay, so create or summon the object. So he's going to create the vines faster.
Right. Okay. So they just when they begin to grow, it's just like they just crawl up the wall almost immediately.
Yeah. Just think about like spindly little fingers and arms, just kind of like grasping onto the wall.
Okay.
And can inflict a status. Could I inflict a positive tier 1 status to myself?
What are you attempting to do?
Urgency. He realizes that he just made this person. Now he's running off, so he's going to try to scale the wall with more urgency than before.
How about, okay, so we'll call it a temporary attack, right? But instead of it being urgency, why don't we almost like a one with nature, and you're so as the vines are being created and they crawl up quickly, you're just moving with it. It's almost like you're almost Spider-Man wall climbing with super speed, but you're just like every time you reach for the next vine, it's there and ready for you, and you're just moving up with with this intense speed, right?
Okay.
And so you do that, right? And so you kind of crawl up there, you're moving very quick, but as you get to the top, you notice that the person on the other side is looking back at you from the other side of the wall, and they wave at you back, and then they drop off the other side.
He immediately runs to the other end and kind of like looks over.
And so you run over and you catch them, getting into a car, and that car kind of speeds off, and you get a description of that car, and that will become applicable during the next session. And so we're going to cut to Miss Burke. Where does Miss Burke end up?
Being that someone's mentioned a club recently and they sell booze there, probably go to the Xanadu.
Interesting. So is this the first time that you've heard of Xanadu?
Let's go with yeah. What the hell not?
Okay. So you're not the one to go to some of the fancier places, but this Xanadu is interesting. It's just a joint. It's a jazz club. It's a place where there's live music and there's lots of dancing, and it's colorful and it's beautiful and it's neon. And as you're kind of stepping up, you get this Art Deco, sense from the architecture of the building outlined in neon. And it's live and it's vibrant, and there's all kinds of things going on, and there's a buzz in the air as you're walking towards it. And you weren't quite sure how to get there, but you just thought about going to Xanadu. And you walk a couple of blocks, and there it is. It's on the corner, just a couple of blocks down from the library. And as you're kind of stepping up to it, and you see that there's kind of a line, but you're used to getting into places. I mean, you've done these kinds of things before, where with the type of work, you pass money along and you're able to get in, right? And so you walk right up to the doorman, and he kind of looks you up and down, and he's sort of a big burly guy, and he's black, and he has these weird sort of glasses that are just mirror shaded, but it's almost like he's still looking into your soul as he kind of looks you up and down. And one of the things that you notice about him is that he's wearing this just really thin sort of chain, and there is this, at first it looks like a cross, like a Christian cross, but as you kind of look closer at it, as he's kind of sizing you up and down, you see that it's actually a sword. And he as you're trying to hand him, he's like, "No, go on in." As the rest of the crowd just starts to freak out that are waiting in line, and you're kind of waved into the door. And when you walk inside, it is just vibrant, and is a cacophony of just noise and crowd, people talking, and it's just vibrant and it's bright and it's alive, but it's not overwhelming. It's just good music. There are people drinking everywhere, and you're kind of just taking in the situation, kind of looking where you're gonna grab a drink. You look over and you see at a table sitting there is Roslyn and Charlie, and you walk up to order a drink, and that's where we're gonna cut it. Well, that was an interesting first session, guys.
That was fun.
All right, so we'll talk about character, the game's type of XP off screen. We'll talk about some other things off screen. I want to hear what you guys thought, and then we'll do outros. So where do we stand, guys? Are we feeling good about this? Is there? I mean, what's going through your heads right now?
I feel great. I feel actually just playing it. It was really easy to pick up once we all started doing it, and could think of creative ways to apply things. And I really enjoyed that alleyway scene a lot. I did not expect her to be this way, but she is this way, and I love her, and I'm really excited.
That's awesome. I'm very glad to hear that.
Yeah.
What about the rest of you? What do you guys think?
I thought this system is very interesting. I love the narrative aspects of it. I love that you tailor your character to the way you want it.
Mm-hmm.
The power tags are very unique to each character, and the way you apply them to these action phrases really kind of helps you kind of get a scope of the world that we're in, you know.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's so that's one of the things, and I know that Valanda and Sam are kind of used to this, and both of you are bringing these up, is that you as you're developing your character, you're kind of you're able to find it in the moment, and that's one of the things that we did with Blades in the Dark that was really fun. So I'm just glad that you guys, that the two of you coming into a new system, actually the four of you coming into a new system, but the two of you coming into a system where it's just like, great or whatever, it's just like there's so much opportunity to kind of explore, and I'm glad that you guys are finding your voices. I mean, because it's obvious immediately there are 4 distinct characters here who are stepping up and doing some really awesome stuff. Anything from Valanda or Sam?
I had a ton of fun. I like that the rolling is kind of just easy, and you just like argue your point.
You argue your point. Yeah, sorry.
I mean, we did that in Blades too.
Well,
Right.
you make your case.
Yeah, you make.
Oh
your
yeah,
case.
oh yeah. I'm pretty good at like stretching things, like scraping the barrel of how far you can push a thing.
Oh, we did that the last episode of Blades.
We so totally did that, and I'm very glad to see that we can continue doing that here, because I definitely had that scraped moment of fear in there, so that was good.
Yeah, it's though I think one of the things that Mike and I, that dragged us to the system, and Speedy was there, there along with us, is that it's just it allows you to be so expressive and in such a non-stats kind of way. All right, well, one of the challenges that we were having tonight is that we dropped a couple of times because of the setup. I'm running OBS off my laptop, so guys, I don't have my my bot running right now, so I don't have any of my commands. So if you guys want to go ahead and drop your information in chat while you're doing your outros, please go ahead and do that. I'll try to do that as well. But why don't we go ahead and start, and we'll start opposite the way we did last time, which is we'll start with Sam.
I was getting my okay. I'm Sam, also known as Harley's Armory on Twitch and Twitter. I'm hopefully going to start streaming on my own channel soon, but you can also find me on Encounter Roleplay's channel Monday morning. And yeah, I had a lot of fun playing tonight. It's very different playing a blind character.
Well, thanks. All right, let's go on to Zippy.
Hi, I'm Zippy Zippo. I am a variety streamer here on Twitch. I also jump around Twitch to like various different channels and do tabletop RPGs. I'm here every Tuesday doing City of Mists. Tomorrow I will be doing Encounter Roleplay's Sands of Zahir, where I play Shallot Witherfields. And Sundays I am on Henley's channel with Eric Vulgaris playing The Whimsical Tales of Mouseguard. So
jealous I'm not in that game. I'm so jealous. That particular game sounds so awesome. All right, next up, Salty Ginger.
Yes, hello. I am that Salty Ginger on Twitter. I DM on Encounter Roleplay on Mondays at 1 p.m. EST, some D&D 5e, and I play with that bastard Greg on Sunday. I don't think he's here anymore. At 7 p.m. EST doing Pulp Cthulhu, which is truly a blast, and you should check it out. He is an incredible keeper, and I love him to make up for that bastard comment.
All right, last but not least, Valanda.
So we're tripping over Valanda, Miss Valanda.
Oh,
Miss
come on. I didn't say Miss Valanda specifically because you didn't like it when I said it, so.
Okay, all right. That was fun. Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, guys. That was awesome. You can catch me on Twitter at blood_BTP, where it's probably the easiest way to keep up with the ridiculous amount of stuff I do. You can normally catch me on Skagga's channel on Saturday through Tuesdays. You can catch me on Bloodthirsty Puppets on a Wednesday, Monday, Saturday, and a Friday. Also on Baylor's Blades every other Thursday and a couple of podcasts. So check out my Twitter. It's the easiest way to keep up with all my shit.
Okay. Awesome. again, thank you guys for stepping up, being the first. So it's hardest to be in this situation because you're setting precedents in a lot of ways. You're establishing the world with your characters, and I think you guys did amazing tonight. So I want to just say thank you. I had a really great time playing with you, and I'm looking forward to where we get lost in this particular world with this particular cast. So, my name is Johnny. This is the Video Store Cowboy channel. This is the new show 6 and 20 Metropolis. It takes place in the world of City of Mist, which is a game setting and a rule book. It's a fantastic book by a game studio by the name of Son of Oak. It was kickstarted and it's been in development for a couple of years, and it's just been released as a PDF, and now I believe the physical copies are starting to come out, and hopefully soon there might be a giveaway in our future to share some of that. So if you want to follow along with the story of Metropolis is the same thing that we did with Blades in the Dark. We play here on Tuesdays. We play over on Unmade Gaming on Wednesdays with Mike's crew, which is half of the crew most of the crew from Blades in the Dark, and there's one a new edition. And then over on Thursday, we're on NotSoSpeedRuns channel, specifically playing the third crew of the week. And that's mostly a new crew, and there's been some exciting art and some other things that have been going on from that channel as well. So follow Unmade Gaming, follow NotSoSpeedRuns if you want to keep up. And otherwise, we will see you here next week. So we're going to go ahead and run the raid command, and we're going to raid Henley, who is currently playing some D&D as well. And I probably should have started the raid command before I started all that spiel. Huh?
Banter.
Stall.
Well, you guys are here. Go ahead and stall and banter with me. We're going to be sending 21 raiders to Henley. So just go ahead and say that you're coming from not from Video Store Cowboy. Like I said, I'll get the things worked out next week, and we will see you later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Nailed it.